3, 4. Fortunate son. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was good.
Me big now, baby, don't make me bleed. I gave you all a man could give, and you still walked out on me. Oh, mama, what you gonna do with all that love in yours? Oh, mama, what you gotta say about that love in yours? Oh, mama, when you walk this way, why don't you give some love? Oh, mama, what you gonna do with all that love in yours?
We are two wild and crazy guys.
What is up? What is up? It is Friday night, June
What
6th.
about that?
Donald Trump is our president. And how about that video, that intro video?
What about
The father and his kids, the Clark family. Yeah.
Absolutely. Bring us into another episode. I got to tell you, Hex, man, one of the best things about that is, being in music ourselves and playing music, you got to have a hype man. And in this case, you had to have a hype woman. That little lady there just drug that whole show on and killed it.
Oh my God, yes. Like that's amazing. Like he taught it. I'm assuming he taught his kids to play those instruments, and like they've done that together. That is awesome. And again, Clark family. So
it's great.
Anyway, that little intro clip after the video, not intro clip, but the promo clip we posted last night, that was something just, right off the wall, random, crazy. Me and Parabellum wanted to do something cheesy, corny, and just, try to make people go, what the heck is this? So
absolutely. Be advised, there may or may not have been a lot of alcohol in the making of that movie.
Possibly. Again, we are two wild and crazy guys. You never know what you're going to get with this show with us. Anyway, let's see. How's everybody doing tonight? We got a few viewers watching there. Let's see who else we got. Oh, we got our guest message. Hold on one second here. Okay. All right. She's going to be on here shortly. But anyway, before that, oh, wait. All right. Okay. We're good. All right. So, hope everybody's week's been good. My week's been crazy. I've been ripping off my back deck and trying to rebuild. Yeah, trying to rebuild it. It's been a mess. When they built this house, they had the yard sloped toward the house, so when it would rain, water would run, under my deck, and it kind of rotted my deck out. So I've been spending the week digging. Me and my brother-in-law spending the week digging dirt off the hillside and trying to slope the yard back out and get all that stuff lined back out, and then getting it ready to build. So with that, ripping the deck off, I found out the bottom plate on the back side of my house was rotted out. So we were out there yesterday trying to replace the bottom plate with new 2x8s and put those in there and trying to get the floor jacked up enough to squeeze them in there. We ended up having to rip them down. Finally got them in there, but
I'll tell you this, that's a huge job, and I hate that you're having to go through that. But word of advice from the wise, I do have a little bit of gray. Everything you said in that entire conversation, make sure you refrain from telling your closest friends and or your wife about it. I'm just kidding, buddy. You know me with my humor, bub.
Yeah. What do you say we jump right into this show? Is everybody ready to jump into some? We always kick this off with some financial news, so let's pop into some financial news. Let's see, what do we got here? Well, Parabellum, you were talking earlier pre-show some stuff that you had found out. Do you want to play the Rand Paul clip, or do you want to go right into that?
Well, you can go ahead and play that clip if you want to. I've got just some other information that we can go on as far as financial news that's going on in the world today.
Okay. This is well, I think you had sent this to me. It's Rand Paul of Kentucky, and he's talking about the big beautiful bill and Elon and
yeah. There's a whole lot of different opinions about that matter. You've got Republicans saying that he's a rhino out there, and you got some people that are actually saying, and I'm kind of with this, hey, you know what? Maybe this is something that we need, because this is something that democracy or the constitutional republic hasn't had in Congress anyways yet. So people actually having different opinions and coming to a solution. Let's go ahead and give it a listen to Rand Paul.
Okay, let's do it.
Which was a really big tweet today. I think applies a lot of the pressure that you're trying to apply. He calls the bill an abomination. What specifically has you so turned off about this bill specifically? This morning you essentially said you want to cut 6% from basically every part of the budget. But what is it about this bill that you don't like so much?
Well, let's start with what I like about the bill. What I like about the bill are the tax cuts. I voted for them in 2017. I wish they were permanent, and that's a big part of the bill. And if that's all that the bill was, I'm not a yes, a hell yes. I'm all in for that. I'm for spending cuts. Yeah. I don't think there are enough spending cuts in that, and I'm worried about that. I wish there were more. But I still would support the tax cuts and some spending cuts if they weren't forcing conservatives to vote to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion. That concerns me because when you extend the debt ceiling, this will be the largest increase in the debt ceiling ever. This will be the first time that Republicans alone will be responsible for the debt. The debt will be basically owned by Republicans. And I'm not for borrowing $5 trillion over the next 2 years. I've told the president if they will separate the debt ceiling vote out, they very may well have my vote on this. But so far, the negotiations are slow. They seem to be picking up a little bit in the last couple of days. So I'm still hopeful that we can come to an agreement.
I mean, fiscally, I watched you on CNBC this morning. You didn't say one thing that I didn't think was very sympathetic. I thought you made a lot of great points. I know you're getting hammered by the president for this, but I don't inherently think that you're wrong about what you're concerned about. I don't think you're wrong about the size of the government and how much we spend. I also think that I watched Bessent on Face the Nation on Sunday, and I thought he was very pragmatic as well, that he just basically said, listen, everything, all spending in Washington got shot through the roof. We didn't get here overnight. They're trying to cut it down in a very pragmatic and stable way. And it sounds like you want to just take a machete to the size of government and the spending of government. I can appreciate that, but does the Treasury Secretary have a point?
Well, you're right. You're right. Well, you're right. I do want to take a machete to it, but I'm willing to take less big or a big scalpel, if that could be the metaphor. The thing is that the bill doesn't have to have everything in it that I want, but I do want to cut spending. The reason that I can't vote for it is the debt ceiling on there. So if you take the debt ceiling off, you say, are you for the tax cuts? Yes. Are you for spending cuts? Will you vote for it if you don't get everything you want on the spending cuts? Yes. So the thing is, it isn't that I'm objecting to too little spending cuts or to the tax cuts or to the CBO. What I'm objecting to is I do not want to be responsible, and I don't want there to be no conservative opposition to the debt. Raising the debt ceiling $5 trillion implies, and almost always means, we're going to borrow $5 trillion that we don't have in the next 2 years. I'm not for that. That's just not conservative.
I completely understand that. Is there any way to do this, though, without raising the debt ceiling? As it is?
No, the debt ceiling has to go up. The debt ceiling has to go up. So I offered an amendment 2 weeks ago to let the debt ceiling go up $500 billion. That sounds like a lot of money, but that's about 3 months worth of borrowing because it's literally out of control. Our interest payment is $1 trillion. We borrow over $4 million every minute. We borrow $6 billion a day. So something has to be done. And so I would offer to raise it $500 billion. Everybody says that only lasts us 3 months. Precisely. Come back to me in 3 months. Show me what you've done for the taxpayer. Show me what you've done to the debt. Show me how you're cutting spending, and maybe I'll give you a little more in allowance. I think the debt ceiling should be like giving a teenager their allowance. And frankly, Congress is less reliable than most teenagers and more profligate in their spending ways than most teenagers. So they should have a very short leash. The president wants the opposite. He doesn't want to think about the debt ceiling. He wants to be done with it. Don't bother me with it. It's making me mad. It's gonna bother me, and I don't want to mess with it for 2 years. I would mess with it every day. I would mess with it at the minimum 3 months, 6 months, because it is the leverage that you can use to say, have you done your job? You promised me, not the president, I'm talking about congressional leadership here. Has congressional leadership kept their promise to cut spending? If so, I'll let you borrow a little bit more money. How about 3 more months? But they have not deserved our trust. They are not typically honest about the decisions up here. And so they do not deserve $5 trillion worth of borrowing.
You're in the minority here, though, right, among Republicans. Most of them are ready to vote for the big, beautiful bill as it stands. So how do you hold a line here? How do you win, I guess, is the question.
All it takes is 4 people. Ron Johnson has been pretty loud on TV. There's a couple more that I think may be coming forward. As they come forward, if 4 of us say we don't want the debt ceiling on it, they'll take it off in a heartbeat. All it takes is 4 of us, and the debt ceiling's gone. All it takes is 4 of us to say we want spending cuts. Ron Johnson's been talking about spending pre-pandemic. That would virtually balance the budget. I don't know if we can get there, but I'm all for it, and I'll stick with them as long as we can. If there's 4 of us, we make it smaller. Why would anybody in the country not be rooting for us to make this make the debt less onerous, make the spending less. This is what conservatives have always been for. Doesn't mean we're against the president. I'm trying to help the president. He says he wants to balance the budget. No. I'm trying to help the president.
All right. So,
all right.
Big beautiful bill. Rand Paul's, going on about the debt ceiling. Me personally, like with this whole big beautiful bill, like I don't like. It's got, again, he was talking about the tax cuts and stuff like that in it. Like I'm sure everybody would love to pay less tax, no tax on tips, like Trump was talking and stuff like that. I'd love it myself, but with this whole entire thing, like what's all, and I should have pulled that up tonight because I'd seen it earlier and I was reading about it, like some of this stuff that was in there. But I think it passed the House, didn't it, Parabellum?
It did. It passed the House.
Yeah, and it's now we're waiting for the Senate. Okay, so my personal opinion, I don't think this is going to pass the Senate. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to that, but I just got a feeling that it's not going to pass the Senate, and I think this big beautiful bill is going to get broken up into different bills to achieve a lot of this stuff. And the whole thing with the debt ceiling, I wonder, I think Trump's trying to do some shit with the central banking system, the fiat currency.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe it's going to lead to collapsing the central banking, because we need to get rid of the central banking system. We need to get back on a gold standard. I'm wondering if it's kind of going to lead to that. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think there's so as far as the video goes, you got your basic two different conflicting points of view within the conservative party today. You got Senator Rand Paul, who you have a lot of old school conservative Republicans who say, hey, we do not want to spend money. We are the conservative party. This is what we've always been about. Let's do this again. I think that Rand Paul had a great point when he said it's kind of like an allowance, to children, saying, hey, if you do this, come back in 3 months and you keep your word, you can build rapport, you can build trust, and then we give you a little bit more. However, I do also agree with the other point of Rob Schmidt from Newsmax. Got to give credit to Rob Schmidt from Newsmax for having this clip. But it's kind of like Rand Paul's wanting to take a machete to a problem that has been going on in our country for the last 20 years of Democrat spending.
Yeah.
So you kind of got that as well. And
yep.
I think that at the end of the day, I do agree actually with both parties. I do believe that Senator Rand Paul has a really good point because, the one thing, Hex, that's been missing from Congress and government and party affiliations ever since the Democrats have took over and they went far left liberal. The one thing that I noticed that is missing is that there is actual differing of opinions within parties or between Republicans and Democrats, and they actually come together, with a solution. Now, the Democrats today, I feel they went too far left liberal with their ideologies, and they are so unidentified and unknown to the majority of people that they do that. So I like to see the in-house fighting in the Republican Party because, to me personally, I think that's the way it's supposed to be, Hex. You're supposed to have pride.
Yeah. Again, though, we got a lot of rhinos, too, like on the Republican Party. If nobody's familiar with the term rhinos, when it comes to the Republican Party, it's Republican in name only. And there's a lot of those out there that have like Democratic, they call themselves Republican, but they have a Democratic, liberal, left-wing leaning view on shit. So like it's kind of crazy. You had some other financial news stock.
Yeah. So what I'll do, we're going to pull this back up and add it to the stage for financial news. So it'd go to say, if we go over financial news, a lot of things you have to do. If you want to see what's going on with Trump's tariffs, you want to see what's happening with the economy, the GDP growth, anything that's going on in the world today. Well, first things first, you would think you have to follow the money, right? So we're going to start things off with the stock market, as we always do. In the last week, we've had a whole lot of mixed results because of uncertain tariffs and everything going on with the tariff wars. Then you have Elon Musk and Trump, and they're going at it. Then you have China's Xi Jinping, who was basically accused by Donald Trump of saying, hey, you went against our trade agreement, and China turned around and said, no, you were the ones that went against it, right? So we have a little bit of uncertainty and mixed results in the stock market. But today is in a pretty amazing day for the stock market. Today, the Dow Jones and the entire United States stock market soared Dow Jones went up 443 points. I believe that's about a 1.02% raise. The S&P 500 went up 61 points. And the NASDAQ, my host, Ep.7, it's his favorite because it has the letter Q in it. It went up 231 points today, guys. Okay, but well, why did it go up, though? So what's happening in today's world?
Couldn't have been 217.
Right, could have been. But you got to go down the rabbit hole to find that. All right, but why did the stock market soar today? You know, I always go back before I give this information, and I go back to how the Democrats used to say when it came to gas prices, presidents don't set gas prices and they don't have any influence on the economy or the world. You know, it's all these other people and organizations that do it. But I'm telling you right now, it is the influence of world leaders that change and shape the economy. And Donald Trump is one to prove this. And he's done it time and time again since becoming our awesome president. Why did we go up today? Well, there was a new jobs report that came out. Okay. So we've got the jobs report that was just released. Let's go over that in a little bit of a highlight. During the jobs report today, there was 139,000 jobs added to the economy. These are non-farm payroll jobs. Most of those jobs, it did include medical and leisure and hospitality jobs. Okay. The unemployment rate, we got to go over that. The unemployment rate remained the same. So we're 5 months, 6 months into President Donald Trump's presidency, and we are staying the same at 4.2%. So there's either no good or no bad there. Worker pay, I found this interesting. This is absolutely interesting. In the jobs report, worker pay, hourly pay has gone up 0.4% for this recent month of May. Okay. And before that, within the last year, hourly pay has gone up 3.9%. And if you look at annual pay increases, according to the jobs report, annual pay, or you salary people, I don't know if we know anybody out there that's working salary, there's been a 4.5% increase for employees who remained in their position and a 7% increase for employees who changed their job. So take that how you will. And if you know anybody on an annual pay, you know, just maybe it's time to start asking for a raise or look for a new job. I don't know. There's a lot of money out there and things are growing, guys. Might be a good time to ask for that raise. I don't know. But, you know, and the last thing, as far as the jobs report go, of course, we know this with the Donald Trump administration. Federal government employment is down by 22,000 jobs. And I don't know about you, Hex. I'm conservative. I like less government. And I am absolutely glad to see that.
Trim the fat. Trim the fat.
Trim the fat, baby. That's what we're doing. And 22,000 jobs down in the government.
So, you know, like back during Trump's first term, 2017, he was, I guess you could kind of say he was playing in the central banking system. Like we had a really good economy. Everything was booming good. This is what a lot of people, I think really don't understand is Trump's a businessman. Mm-hmm. Trump knows how to play the system. So he was playing in the central banking economy back during his first term. And that's why a lot of stuff, like he could, you know, flip-flop stuff around, make numbers look good and make things happen and shit gets good. So that's what happened then. Which that was fine, but that was a Band-Aid. That wasn't a fix. That was, you know, to show the people that the country could be better than what it is.
Absolutely.
And like I said, that was a Band-Aid fix. And like, I've heard a lot of people talking about how, you know, like why is prices still high? Groceries, gas, blah, 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 blah. He's been in there for just over 100 days. Give the man time. But anyway,
absolutely. You need some patience here.
Back to what I was getting at.
Rome wasn't built in a night. You know what I mean? It wasn't built overnight. Everybody knows that expression. You're going to need some time because this has been absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, it has. Like they have done so much damage to the system and it's got to be fixed. And we'll get into a little bit of that later on in the show. But the main thing I'm getting at here is, like I said, Trump was playing in the central banking system back then. He, you know, finagled stuff around and the economy got a lot better when he was in there in his first term. But now that he's in there, like I said, that was a Band-Aid. We have to fix it right. And I'll get into this later on in our Nothing is Happening section of the show because hold on one second. Just got a message.
All right.
Sorry. Give me a second. Let's wrap this up real quick because I think we're getting ready to have our special guest come in.
Okay.
But anyway, my point is, you know, that's not going to work now. We have to fix this. This big, beautiful bill has got a lot of stuff in it. I think that's going to benefit. Again, I don't know if it's going to get passed by the Senate. And if it don't, I think it's going to be broken apart into smaller sections and maybe those will get passed. But I do honestly think that the tax cuts are coming. I do think there's going to be no tax on tips. Eventually, I'm pretty well behind the theory that Trump is wanting to do away with income tax, because if you remember, he was talking about the tariffs, which, by the way, the last I looked, it may be more now, but the last I looked on the tariff stuff is it brought in $22 billion, I think, the tariffs have already brought in.
Yeah,
it's probably more now.
Astronomical number. I think it's went up 34 billion. I mean, It just goes up every day.
So do you remember, you know, Trump was saying, what was he calling it? External Revenue Service. Remember? Yeah. He's and he was talking about kind of doing away with the Internal Revenue Service and get rid of taxes, because the American people shouldn't have to fit the bill for all this shit. We've got means, and the means are the tariffs. Yeah. 22 billion. You said it was like 34 billion now.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely gone up. I'll double check that for you.
Yep. That's a lot. Okay. So I think let me make sure our guest is ready. And
37 billion to 74 billion annually that was under the first Trump administration. So that was the tariffs from his first administration. So it's went up substantially from there.
Okay.
68.9 billion this year as of May 29th.
Let's see. Has our guest joined yet? Sent the invite. Let's see. Guys, bear with us here a little bit. Our guest is having a little bit of technical issues. Okay. By the way, while we're waiting, I'd like to remind everybody to go down there on YouTube and Facebook both and hit that thumbs up button. Give us a like. We've got live chat. Feel free to jump in that. Comment live as we go. If you got something you want us to talk about, you know, we'll hash it out with you. Heck,
we'll see what we can do.
We may even send you an invite to pop on the show. We're all about taking guests. So we got that was interesting. The Maxine Waters campaign fined over campaign finance violations. You want to give that a read, Parabellum?
Yeah, we'll give a little bit. So Maxine Waters coming in. This is also somebody who targeted Donald Trump during his campaign. Everybody knows that. California Democratic Representative Maxine Waters' congressional campaign has been fined $68,000 for violating several federal campaign finance laws during her 2020 re-election bid. The Federal Election Commission recently published investigation documents showing Waters' 2020 campaign committee Citizens for Waters understated contributions and spending by hundreds of thousands of dollars. The Waters campaign has agreed to pay the fine, send in its treasurer to a commission-sponsored training program for political committees, nonpartisan campaign finance research group, Open Secrets. Waters' 2020 campaign, they accepted $19,000 worth of excessive contributions throughout 2019 and 2020, and made $7,000 worth of prohibited cash disbursements from petty cash funds, according to the FEC documents first reported by Open Secrets. This is absolutely insane. It's kind of the same old story, you know, point my finger at you, but there's three more pointing back at me, you know?
Mm-hmm. I wonder if this ties back in with the auto pen stuff that we had went over last week on the show, because you had the all the auto pen, the pardons that was signed and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I
That-
wonder. Like, I'm just kind of curious if this may tie into that. I think our guest is still having some.
I don't
some
know if it ties
issues.
into it, but I do believe that this is just another representation of the far left liberal ideology hypocrisy that happened, in the last 15 years of the identity of the Democratic Party just leaving outer space. So to me, it's hilarious.
Oh, we also had. Let's see. Do I have that? Let's go ahead and. Well, I don't know. We'll pull this up and talk about it a second.
Breaking news on this one. Whoa, what a huge deal.
Karine Jean-Pierre
Oh yeah, KJP.
leaving the Democratic Party. I used to feel so bad for her sometimes. Like Peter Ducey of was it Fox News?
Yeah,
Like he would bust her chops every press conference.
I
she
was
was the
glad she got her chops busted. I'm kind of on the other foot, but I know where you're at. She
But she's
deserved
li-
to have her chops busted, in my opinion.
Well, sometimes I wondered, like, sometimes it seemed like she was so, like, oh, I got to say this. Oh, I know it's a lie. I got to say this. And,
Mhm.
so I kind of felt sorry for her at times,
Absolutely. So
E-
KJP, she came out and she's basically,
even though I hated her.
she's came out and she said that, hey, I'm leaving the Democratic Party. But what's even more crazy than this, Hex, is that after leaving the Democratic Party, she also announces she's going to do a tell-all story that includes her story of a broken White House.
Imagine that. That gets right. Like, we've got so much on this, guys. Getting ready to come up here in the next segment, but
Oh my gosh, this is
you had Tulsi Gabbard again. Like, I think we talked about this last week. Tulsi Gabbard, wasn't she? She was a Democrat, right? And then
Yes.
yeah,
She flipped Republican, but she
and
went
flipped
independent,
Republican.
I believe. And then this is all steps that I do believe that a lot of people take when they're tuck tail and they're running in politics. Do I believe that KJP will eventually try to go Republican? I don't know. If somebody gives her an in, maybe. But look at RFK, look at Tulsi Gabbard, look at anybody who ever left the Democratic Party in most recent times. Their first step, in my opinion, has always been, well, I'm going to go independent. And then before you know it, they're daggone Republicans. But I also would like to caution Republicans on that, because you wonder how you get snakes in the grass. This may be a way.
Yep. Well, again, this. We'll get into this. We'll get in. Hold just 1 second. Okay. Our guest is getting ready to pop on right now. So.
All right, right on. What we got going on with the guest? What are we wanting to talk about?
Oh, so let me give it a little bit of a kind of a rundown of our guest tonight. So I'm friends with her on Facebook, and I'd recently seen some posts she had made, and she's talking about ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and methylene blue, and that kind of stuff, and cancer. And there's a whole lot around that, and like she's got some really good posts. So when we jump on here, or when she jumps on here, we'll get into the. Okay, we've got her now. 1 second, let me add her to stage here, and there we go. Are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Hey, welcome, Beth.
All right, so
Hey,
this
how
is
are
Beth, friend of mine. I'd met her, done some signs for her. What is it, the chinchilla that you
Oh,
got?
yeah, little chihuahuas, yeah.
Chihuahuas and chinchillas. So I done some signs for her, and that's kind of how I met her. But like I said, I've been following some of her posts on Facebook and looking at them, and thought they were really interesting. It would be a really good topic to add to the show. So again, she's familiar with the ivermectin, methylene blue, and all that kind of stuff. Beth, you got Bev as your wife, and not
Beth. And you got Beth. Okay.
getting kind of confused here. So you want to give a little introduction to yourself and like what your background is on this?
Well, I don't really have any background. I just had a couple friends that's been using it for a couple different things, and so far they've had great results.
Hell yeah.
They are combining though. They're using the ivermectin and the fenbin. They are combining the two.
Fenbendazole.
Yep.
Yep.
Right on.
I've heard a lot of talk about the COVID vaccine possibly leading to a cure of cancer. Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't seen that. All I've seen so far is there's a new strain coming this way.
Yeah. Well, I don't believe the new strain. Like we went through that, and coming up on the 2020 election, we've done all that. Americans are sick of it, in my opinion. Heck with the COVID.
I'm pretty sick of it too.
It's funny how all the flu cases disappeared during COVID.
That
It
is absolutely baffling. I really want to know what happened because, right before COVID hit, I got diagnosed with, what was it? Type B flu, but I felt like maybe I got a little dose of the COVID there, but I just went through it and it didn't really hurt me, and not too much. I guess I was young enough and strong enough to be able to make it through that. But
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a clip here, Mel Gibson on Joe Rogan, and he's talking about this cancer and that a friend of his, I think it was 4 friends, he says in this, and he's talking about it, methylene blue and ivermectin. Let's give that a play, and then we'll let Beth just take the stage and talk about any of this stuff she wants to talk about. So
all right. Awesome.
Let me go there.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
I have 3 friends. All 3 of them had stage 4 cancer. All 3 of them don't have cancer right now at all. And they had some serious stuff going on.
And what did they take?
Jesus. They took what you've heard they've taken.
Ivermectin.
Fenbendazole.
Fenbendazole. Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot.
They drank hydrochloride something or other.
There's studies on that now where people have proven that
people are drinking methylene blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, methylene blue, which was a fabric dye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a textile dye. And now they find out it has profound effects on your mitochondria.
Yep.
Yeah.
This stuff works, man.
There's a lot of stuff that does work, which is very strange because, again, it's profit. When you hear about things that are demonized and that turn out to be effective, you always wonder, well, what is going on here? Mm-hmm. How is our medical institutions, how have they failed us so that things that do cure you are not promoted because they're not profitable?
Okay, so.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, because if everybody's well, then they don't have any money.
Oh, yeah.
Big Pharma has no money then.
Exactly. There's no money in the cure. The money's in the treatment. It's the same with AIDS. It's the same with like all these diseases. It's exactly the same.
If their medicine worked, you wouldn't need to refill your prescription every month.
Exactly. Yep. That's recurring money.
So you had some questions for Beth, didn't you, Parabellum?
Well, I did. I'll get to those, but I do want to kind of agree. I want to say, hey, Beth.
Hey.
I've been strictly more into the political and stock and financial and everything that's going on in the world today. But I did follow a little bit of ivermectin when that was going on with Joe Rogan. And, of course, you had Mel Gibson, and it was in the limelight. I got a little bit of my interest, and I kind of backed away. First question for you personally. And now if this is too deep, you don't have to answer, but I'd like to know, what is your story? Is it personal for you? Is it a friend? Is it something that you're experiencing personally with your trials?
Well, no, it has been 2 of my friends, 2 of my best friends. One of them I've never even met. We just know each other from online.
Okay.
She's in Florida, but she got diagnosed with breast cancer not long ago due to her breast implants leaking, and she didn't know it.
Oh, wow.
And at one point they thought it was in her bones and everything, but she can't. Yes, she can't do anything. Big Pharma. She took a simple antibiotic, some sulfur drugs, and it caused her to develop what's called Steven Johnson syndrome. And then she was in ICU for a week, almost took her out. So she has nothing to do with Big Pharma at all.
Yeah.
But now she's been doing the sour salt and things like that. She hasn't added the ivermectin, or the Finbin. But she also hasn't had any problems. This is the third year with no chemo, no radiation.
That is awesome, and I'm glad to see. I guess positive results are coming from that. We're seeing shrinkage of tumors and a lot of good, really
Yes.
results that are coming through that. That's great to hear. For the viewers that may not be aware of what sour salts is, do you have a quick definition of what that may be and thin bin?
Okay, the soursop is actually a tree. It bears fruit. Looks something like the gumball.
Okay.
Like Big Pharma makes their Tamiflu. That is like 95% the gumball plant.
So
So soursop is like its first cousin. It bears the fruit that resemble it a lot, but the fruit is not used in the treatment. Just the leaves of the tree are.
Oh, that
so
is
so
awesome. Go ahead.
Finbin, what if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that like an animal
Yes, it
treatment?
is a goat. It's a goat warmer is what a lot of people use it for.
Yeah, that's what
Goats, dogs.
yeah, that's what I thought because I'd read up on it a little bit. I'm not as savvy with this as you are, Beth, but again, continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
the
pretty good.
Finbin is mainly used. It's also used to worm animals, but it's also used in parasite removal, depending on what kind of parasite it is, whether it be like coccidia, giardia, something like that. They may try the Finbin first,
Mhm.
but it's given every day. Then, like I said, it's used for lots of different things. Just
So
like
what is
the ivermectin. I mean, it's got a Nobel Prize even
Oh
because
yeah,
it cured what's
it was
called root
treated. It was
canal.
used. It was used for treating malaria. If I'm not
2015?
mistaken,
Yeah,
back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah,
2015 Nobel Peace Prize winner was ivermectin. Absolutely.
yeah. So
It-
look at this. Like back when all this was going on in 2020, 2019, 2020, coming up on the whole COVID thing. Trump was people bash Trump because he put out the vaccine and stuff like that, but it wasn't Trump. That was a thing that Trump had to take out of the left wing's play court, was that vaccine. So he went ahead and put it out there because the vaccine, let's face it, it's a fucking clot shot, right?
I did not have the vaccine at all.
Me either.
But my sister, I lost half of my family to COVID, half of my immediate family. My
Mhm.
sister took all the vaccines, the boosters, and she also died of COVID. That
Yeah.
is not how vaccines work. When we vaccinate our
I'm
children, that's like for a lifetime.
sorry to hear about
Vaccines
your
that
sister.
when you're vaccinated for something, you should not die of the
Yeah,
same thing you were vaccinated for. And for
That's
them to
so
be telling people to boost that every 6 months, your natural immune system was good for 6 months. But
it
if
is.
if vaccines work like that, we would be boosting our children every year.
exactly.
But
Oh yeah.
vaccines don't work that way. That was not a vaccine. I don't know what that
It
was,
was a clot
but
shot, is what it
they
was.
work the same way in animals. Just like when you
It-
vaccinate your dogs, you do core vaccines.
I
Three
don't know
What
how
was so
quarter
much.
shots,
crazy? What was so
they're good
crazy
for
is
life.
it was so obvious whenever they started talking about the vaccine, and then the report came out that actually your natural immunity is a whole lot better if you got it.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
natural immunity is a whole lot better. So what did the legacy media and a lot of the news do? They ended up started now you get these multiple variants that started coming out. I mean, I personally find that kind of fishy. I don't know about you guys, but
I
to
do
me,
too.
there's a new variant coming out, and it's like, oh well, you got to get
The
immunity to this. Like they're trying to defeat the immunity purpose. And I personally was raised in a holistic approach to a lot of problems in my life. But yeah,
Well, I'm a
pretty
compromised immune
fishy.
system. I only have one kidney. And
Okay.
honestly, I didn't know if I was going to live when I got COVID the second time.
Mhm.
But I still could not get that shot. But I'll tell you what else I did. I did not put one single thing in my body when I had COVID that did not come from the earth. If it did not
Absolutely.
come from the earth, it didn't go in my body. I had a real hard time with swelling when I had COVID. Well, you know what I did for swelling? I like to never found plain old dill in a grocery
Yeah.
store, which I grow every year now, so I don't ever have to worry
Organic
about that
deal.
again. But I
Hmm.
couldn't taste anything anyway. So I just added that and all that nastiness that I drunk every day when I boiled lemons, limes, oranges, um, things of that nature. And I would throw that dill in there too. But you know what? It took care of it. It fixed the problem.
Yeah,
But not one thing did I put in my body because it was a man-made virus. So
it
man-made
was. It come from
man-made stuff, right? It's not gonna do nothing to it.
it come
You got
from
to go
China.
back, right? You got to go back to basics and the
Yeah.
natural stuff from the earth.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a great point to bring to the show. We brought that.
The COVID vaccine was a bioweapon, in my opinion. It was a bioweapon. It was
I call
made
it,
to
yes, population control.
depopulation. Yeah, exactly. You know exactly what I'm getting at. It was population control. But
Yes.
I can't believe you don't follow Q.
Well, on my other account, my account got hacked a couple years ago, my original one.
Yeah.
And I did on that one, and I haven't. I got this new phone. I accidentally burnt my other cell phone a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
In
so
the
you
boxes I was burning. So I just got this new phone, and I got the same account, but I haven't followed any. I did for a while on the other ones back when COVID was going on. I was a big QAnon fan. Yes.
Yep. Um again, like I said, like I was saying though, like back, when Trump was in office there and all that come about with COVID and they had to release the vaccine because Trump had to get that off the deep state's playing field. But what did Trump say in all of his briefings and press conferences and stuff like that? He was like, take ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and zinc, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
He was recommending people not to take that. He's like, well, here it is, take it, or you take it if you want, but I wouldn't take that. I'd take, this.
But honestly, back then it was a lot harder to get ivermectin. Back then, it's a lot easier now. But I tried back then, and I'm here to tell you, it was not easy to get it. It took a little while to get it back then.
Well, I don't mean Democrats putting regulations on things for you.
Yes, I look for that.
Well, they were saying, Trump's telling everybody to take bleach and blah 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 blah. No, that's not what he was saying. But
no, but now the ivermectin. If some of these companies are making it in pill form, but you really have to be careful if you buy it in pill form because a lot of it has polysorbate in it, which is bad.
So one of
adverse effects.
I watch a lot of these political shows and I follow a lot of them. And over on Rumble, I don't know if you've ever been on Rumble, Beth, but a lot of these political shows I follow, they have commercials, and I'm not trying to plug. We're not getting any advertising revenue from this, but one of the companies that always advertise on a lot of these political shows is called the Wellness Company. And the Wellness Company, you can order like they're a pharmacy kind of company. So you can get your regular prescriptions. You can have your doctor send them to the Wellness Company. You get your regular prescriptions. And on top of that, you get a thing, if I'm not mistaken, you get like a thing full of your regular prescriptions, and you can get ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and all that stuff in there. So that may be something.
That's good. And I also see in a couple of the groups that I'm in that people are already scamming, saying they have those kits completely together that has the fenbin and ivermectin and the methylene.
That's unfortunate.
And yes, and they are already scamming people. So you got to be careful where you purchase from.
Exactly. But I have a lot of faith in the Wellness Company because like these shows that I watch, it's paid advertising. Like they support these shows. They've even had like interviews with a lot of them from the Wellness Company on there talking about how they're, MAGA supporters. Some of them are even Q followers.
I'll have to get on there and check them out.
I think you can go to Google and type in the Wellness Company and it should pull it right up. But that would probably be a good thing you could put out there to your followers.
All right.
To get some kind of, give them some information on where to get it.
I use a lot of what they call apothecary, but I use them that actually grow their own stuff right there on site. That way, anything that I order like that, I need it in its original form, plant form, because I do a lot of teas and stuff. So I stick, but I will check with them and see how natural that they keep things, or if that's an option for them.
Well, check it. Let me know. Well, like whatever you find on that company, let me know. Like, shoot me a message on Facebook or something. And let me know because I'll
put something into the comment section for people, or as far as apothecary.
Oh yeah. Hold on one second, and I'll put that in the link in the comments here.
Right, let's drop a link for the apothecary. That's pretty cool. I think that's something that's great for a whole lot of people. I was raised with an uncle who did all the teas. I suffer asthma severely, so black tea, right? We had black tea that came in, all natural, grown, raised. We had honey. We do the lemon. We do all that. We make our tea, and then that's the way that we take care of my asthma. Not inhalers. We don't go for the albuterols and all those crazy things.
Right. Well, now I use the Manuka honey. I don't use regular honey. It has to be the Manuka.
Manuka or organic. Actually, we have our own organic beef farm. So, and we make
If
sure not
it's
to put any chemicals
right.
into the production. Yeah. And it's really
I
cool.
mean, the teas are one of my favorites. They really are.
All right, so I posted on YouTube there. I posted the link in the chat to the wellness company if you want to grab that, Beth.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
Beth.
right. Let me see here.
I've said Bev for so many years because of Parabellum's wife, because I work with her.
That's so funny.
It gets me a little confused
She's
sometimes.
watching right now. She's laughing every time you do it. I promise you. So, hey, for me, like I said, I wasn't. I'd gotten away from the ivermectin and a little bit of the information in that, and I am glad that we brought you on to be able to give me kind of information on that going on. But what I will say is, it did tickle my research phone to be able to start looking and go look at these things. And to my surprise, I've found there is so much positive information about the use of ivermectin. Okay, with Thinben, or what is the other one they say? Aromatase. Are you familiar with that? Maybe I'm not saying it correct.
Not as familiar with that. I've seen a couple people use it, and a lot of people use the black seed oil too.
Yeah, black seed. Well, what I can tell you is in my research that I've been looking up all weekend since we had our first initial phone call. There is so many studies, and anybody that wants to go look this up, look, and I promise you, for breast cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, and you can dive deeper into any of these. It shows absolute reduction in size of tumors for people who
Yes.
have cancer with ivermectin. It inhibits the growth of tumors. It may lengthen your life. And there are plenty of clinical studies that are actually going on right now, where there are actually doctors who are looking into, even the National Health Institute. They're looking into actually using just ivermectin and what it is you're talking about to be able to pull off and actually cure a lot of these cancers or help people with breast cancer or colon cancer, pancreatic. And I found that absolutely amazing that you can actually go on the internet and actually find some information about a topic such as this, which would normally be so controversial. And generally you would find suppressed information. But for me to be able to just go on and find, oh my gosh, actually, there's a whole lot of studies that they're saying this really works. This is something they're wanting to do. And of course, you got big pharma, the big war. They want to say, yeah, let's do this in conjunction with chemotherapy, so they keep their money revenue.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of research that I did on that. I found that absolutely interesting, amazing. I do have one question for you, Beth. Have you heard of Karen Rothman, Dr. Karen Rothman? Did you hear that story about her?
That does ring a bell a little
He
bit.
was
It
the
does.
doctor that was mysteriously died in a house fire. Dr. Karen Rothman, but this was years back. And there's a couple videos about it. If you go searching on the internet, you'll find Karen Rothman. She was actually looking into ivermectin and mixing with Thinben and a lot. And she had a clinical study that was literally getting ready to be published.
Yep.
And wouldn't you know, she found
Yes.
death in her home.
That's why the name rang a bell to me. Yes.
Yeah, I figured you would know about this one. Yeah,
But now
They're not insane.
there are doctors right now that have just plain old cancer clinics, and they're doing nothing but ivermectin and Fenbin at these clinics.
That is so cool. I'm so glad to see that jump, because there for a while it got pretty choppy, especially with Karen Rothman. But you got actual clinical studies that are going down, and people are kindly looking at a little bit more of the ivermectin approach. Not quite so full holistic, but like I said, it's man-made or not man-made, but that was COVID. But it's I think it's really great to see that kind of movement.
We got Bev in chat saying cayenne pepper.
Yeah, she's
cayenne pepper.
She was always saying cayenne pepper.
For a lot of stuff.
Right.
It is.
Good for your stomach. Good for ulcers. Good for so many things.
But now on the ivermectin, I did a little bit of research also, and the medicine in its purest form is actually the horse paste.
Yes, the horse paste is what everybody's
Is the purest form of the medicine. Yes, without the polysorbate in it.
They were getting a truck. at that too during 2019, 2020 coming up, when we were coming into COVID there, they were like, it's horse medicine, and like they were trying to bash him for it.
Yeah, but it was for people first. It was a
Yeah, it
people's
was. Like I
medicine.
said, it was a malaria treatment.
I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what river blindness is, but it cured that even in like
Yeah.
third world countries. So I mean, that there's all kinds of things that it's curing. Though, if I see that again in one of my groups, you would not believe what a list of
It's
stuff that is listed that it is a cure for.
it's one
And
of
I'm
the
not
oldest
exaggerating.
proven
There's like
medicines.
100.
Yeah. It's one of the oldest proven medicines there is. Like it's what'd you say, Parabellum? Nobel Prize? Is that what you said it
Nobel
won?
Prize,
Yeah.
2015. Ivermectin was the winner of the Nobel Prize. I believe it was.
Yes,
But
it
all
was.
of a sudden,
It's
all of a
close.
sudden, the Democrats were against it, and because Trump was promoted. I believe, honestly, like the meme we had on last week's show, if Trump said, what was the video we watched? The little in our badass clips, the guy talking about shit, and if Trump said, "Eat shit, it's good for you," the Democrats, or don't eat shit, it's bad.
Yeah.
You don't eat, yeah, don't eat shit, it's
Yeah.
bad for you. The Democrats would eat shit.
They'd go run and eat it. I promise you. They're that far gone. Yeah.
While we're talking about the government, though, I'll
Mhm.
tell you a quick story. I don't know if y'all ever heard of the lady named Henrietta Lacks, but in the late 60s, early 70s, she was hospitalized. She had 5 children with uterine cancer, but her cancer cells were totally different. They were immortal. No matter what they'd done, they could not seem to kill her cancer cells. They took this woman's cells. They never asked her permission, nothing. They took her cells and they began preparing all kinds of vaccines, all kinds of other treatments because they were immortal. They never asked this woman. And of course, she ended up dying. And they have always used her stuff since then. And her family, not 5 of her, none of her children got $1. Nothing. Although they did name the cancer cell after her, the Gila cell, that is named after Henrietta Lacks because the government robbed her family.
Oh,
They
if
never
you can
got
remove that,
$1.
if you can remove whatever's on stage, I can add to stage. Is the story of Henrietta Lacks, and I just kind of briefly went over that.
Yeah,
It's really insane. Cervical cells.
it's removed. It's removed. Like I was literally looking it up as you were looking it up as she was saying
There
it.
we go.
That's her. That
yeah.
is her.
Let me pull it up real quick. Here we go. Okay, so again, principles of informed consent, one of the most important bioethical values at the heart of human research. Basically, Lax was a black woman with a type of cervical cancer called adenocarcinoma. The doctors treated her at Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the few medical institutions in the country that opened its doors to African Americans, although it relegated her to a racially segregated ward. At the time of her diagnosis, she's 30 years old and a mother of 5, determined the tumor was benign or malignant. Her medical team performed a biopsy. And I know that this goes into it, and everything that you just said is absolutely correct.
Yes.
That's super cool information. I didn't know that. But they took her cells without consent, and they started selling and using. And
yes. Yes.
What's your thoughts on that,
Okay.
Hex?
This makes me think of oh, my camera fell. This makes me think, have you guys played I don't know if you're gamers or not. Well, I'm a gamer. I've not played this particular game, but I also like good shows. And one of the shows I've been watching, my wife and I is called The Last of Us, and it's
I love that show.
Yeah, it's based off a video game. So the concept in the show kind of sounds like this, because the girl in the game, like the world is pretty much an apocalypse. This fungus comes in and like it just makes people turn into like zombies, and they start killing people. So this girl is immune. So they have to get her to a certain place to use her blood to make a cure for this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What I'm getting at with this is a lot of what we see happen, we get programmed to accept it because of TV shows, movies, and stuff like that. Like,
yes. They love to put it right in your face. Yes.
Yeah, they put it exactly. They put it in your face.
Yes.
They tell you what you're going to do or what they're going to do before they do it.
Yes.
But raises the bar of normality.
Most people just watch it and think, well, blah, 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 and they get brainwashed to it. But remember me telling you, Parabellum, Juvenal, the Roman poet, he said, give them bread and circus and they will never revolt. That's exactly what we're going through. We're being fed what they're going to do, and they've turned it into bread and circus
Absolutely.
to kind of condition everybody to accept it.
Yep. It becomes the normal.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. It raises the bar of normality, and people tend to accept it. Look what happened with the introduction of technology, and you go from like topics of what was acceptable in 50s TV and what's acceptable today. You look at all those areas.
Look at the Simpsons. People holler, how did the Simpsons predict this? How did the Simpsons predict that? It's not predictive programming. It's telling you what they're going to do.
Right. Yes, I agree.
And this goes back to the Q drops. The Q drops say everything is scripted. You're watching a movie.
Yep.
So yeah, Beth, that's what we do here. So it's kind of same cues, different views, and what that means is, can we go over the basics of it there, Hex?
What? The basics of the show?
Same cues, different views. So
yeah, okay. So
go ahead.
Oh, Parabellum's not a Q guy. He's more, just a conservative who follows logic and news and stuff like that. And I'm a Q guy, which you said you were following Q at one time too. So I'm more deeply based in Q, and it's like there's been a lot of drops that has came out that has hit, that has actually happened. Based off a lot of Q drops, I've made predictions of stuff that was going to happen. And it happened. Sometimes, we're not always right. Q gave us crumbs. So, this is kind of what the show's about is, we just go back and forth, and Brian will have a news segment and I'll throw some Q stuff on top of it.
Yeah. The crumbs are like a game. It's just like
it is.
It's just a game.
It's kind of like my job is to question Hex's conspiracy theories and pull his legs out of the rabbit hole. And it's his job to question me on why I'm not questioning.
And pull you into the rabbit hole.
It doesn't mean that I don't look, a little bit into some of the conspiracy. Well, they would label conspiracy, but there is actual logical information attached to it.
But
I choose not to go down that way. And we banter back and forth. And that's kind of the concept of the show. So we want to make sure to go over that for you. So you might hear some talk.
I'd sent you a DM over there on Facebook. If you want to possibly, like, we could do a whole segment, in our show every Friday night. If you want to come on board and just give some health news and stuff like that, like you can send us what you got and we could make slides and upload them. You can talk about it. If you got video, like I'll give you admin privileges and, you can upload video and we'll have a whole entire segment of you if you want to, if you're interested in that.
I think it'd be really cool to raise awareness about the use of ivermectin and kind of have an online dialogue of, progression of where this is actually happening.
I think it'd be a really cool segment to add to the show that would inform people about this kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, that they have options. Chemo and radiation is not for everybody. And, there's so many different types of cancer. The key is what type it is and how soon you catch it.
Yep.
That's the key.
But I don't want to keep you. I don't know if you have stuff to do or, if you got to jump off, like, you can go ahead and we'll close out on that. But if you want to hang around, for the rest of the show and hang with us, like we go sometimes 2-3 hours.
All right. Well, I'll hop off a little while, and then if I get back online, I may just join you and listen to you too.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to pop it, the link will still work to get into the stream. So just click it and pop in there and like shoot me a message or something. So you want to hop in and talk about something as we're going through stuff. But it's been great having you. I know you have a chinchilla page separately from your personal account, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So anybody interested in chinchillas and
chihuahuas,
if you want to.
What did you call them last time?
If you want to plug your account there real quick for people so they can know where to follow you, and if you want to plug your personal account or any other account you have so people can follow you, just feel free to go right ahead.
Put it in there and we get it out to the world.
All right. I'm not real familiar with these tools on here yet. Like I said, I gotta take a crash course in this. I seen the message come across the top, but if I click off this, it would have cut me off there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
So I
Hex,
had, yeah.
if
Okay.
there's anything she wants to add, you want to have Beth say it out loud, and we'll type it into the chat box real quick.
Oh, it's on my personal profile. It's just Chihuahua Lane.
Chihuahua Lane. Okay, so everybody, if you want to find Beth, go to Chihuahua Lane, and you can find her. And
That's awesome.
she's got a lot of good Chihuahua info.
How many Taco Bell jokes have you had to run into over the years? I'd imagine it's went down. And
A few, but I say, you know what? I love their dogs and their beer.
Well,
awesome.
again, Beth, it's been great having you on the show tonight. I hope you become a regular on here. We love having you. So,
Well, I appreciate y'all having me. I really do.
Okay, peace out. God bless. And if you want to pop back in tonight, just pop back in. Where we go on, we go all.
All right. You all have a great night. Tell
Everybody wave
the wife I said
bye.
hello.
I will. Everybody wave bye to Beth.
See y'all.
See ya.
All right. How about that?
Yeah, that was good. I liked it. That was really like a lot of interesting stuff there.
Well, that brings a new scope onto a controversial topic that's out there in the world today, and we get to put it on our show because why? We like controversial topics.
Hell yeah.
Don't go to hell.
So I hope we get her back on the show. Like that was really good. I liked it. Maybe we can do, like I said, a whole segment with her doing that kind of stuff.
Hollering out of the back room, big reds. I don't know what's going on. I think she's watching.
So we got her, and then I was telling you pre-show, my daughter-in-law is really big into some of this kind of stuff, and she's like more skin cream and skin based and stuff like that, and what's good in it and what's bad in some of them.
All of that stuff is good. I'm a huge fan. Yep. Like I said, I was raised in the holistic. I'm not an expert, but I was raised in with a little bit of holistic background. They made topical treatments for me to take as a child. They made teas. We did all natural herbal holistic remedies. They were a little bit religious, and they did the healing hands as well, and they did all that stuff. It's quite the background, actually, of the family that I had. I didn't understand what kind of a living and upbringing I had until I got older, But I think all of it, making soaps, making lives, dyes, all that stuff, they make every bit of it in my entire childhood. So I'm a little bit familiar with some of that, and I think every bit of it is good. I've seen positive effects from every bit of that throughout my childhood. So it's great stuff to add to the show, hey.
Yeah, I think it is. Like I was saying with my daughter-in-law, Kate, like she would be perfect with Beth, talking about some of this stuff. Like they could collaborate together, and we could have a whole entire segment if we can get them. Anyway, let's move on to the next little section of the show. Unless you got anything else, Parabellum.
No, that's it for me, bub. We'll move on to the next part of the show.
All right. Why do rats abandon ship?
Why do they?
Oh, wait. Got ahead a little bit. We had this. I was going to pop up. I thought this was kind of cool. Breaking. 50 Cent says he will reach out to President Trump to discourage any possibility of a Diddy pardon. I honestly don't think Trump's going to pardon Diddy. Honestly, I don't.
Go ahead, bud. Yeah, but I don't think he is at all. I think this is more humorous, if anything, because 50 Cent's been trolling Diddy for a minute, and I think this is another opportunity for 50 Cent to troll Diddy. And I approve.
I get that. I get that he's trolling, but at the same time, what does Diddy know? Does he have something on? 1 second here. Does he have something on? Or what? I'm sorry, 50 Cent. What does 50 Cent know? Does he have something on Diddy, you think?
I think he just has a good perspective and street knowledge of when he's in the presence of a freaking weirdo. That kind of comes with a certain lifestyle that you live. And if you've been around it long enough, when you're in the presence of someone that's got some things that's wrong with them. And, him being street and thug life and lived a large perspective life from, good, bad to ugly, from poor to rich. I would imagine his perspective's pretty clean on that. And his feeling, I'd have to go with it.
All right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Just from personal experience.
And it's hard for me to type as we're doing this. Beth had just messaged me. I've not got a chance to really read through what she's got, but if you're listening, Beth, I will check that stuff out. What you'd sent here after the show. Thanks for coming on again. But anyway,
anything we can put it into the next segment.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Beth, if you're listening, if you want to hop on at any time tonight, let me know. And I think my brother also was talking about possibly hopping on tonight if we get into something that like he can bite into real good. So let's get into again.
Your brother. What's his full government name, social security number, and phone number? I'm just kidding.
I'm sure he could come up with something witty for that.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Because it's my brother and he's witty as hell. So anyway,
right that's what we like.
Why do rats abandon ship? We've seen a lot of stuff coming up late here this past week with like Jake Tabor's book and a couple other people. You know, it's like the mainstream media is trying to kind of cover their tracks on the whole Biden thing with the auto pen and like, oh, we didn't know he was, you know, having mental decline and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of wanted to have a segment on that tonight. So one of the things I thought was interesting, I guess we'll kick it off with, let me see here, make sure, check my slides. Yep. So one of the things I wanted to kick this off with was Trump had posted this on Truth Social. There is no Joe Biden, executed 2020. Biden clones, doubles, and robots. Robotic, engineered, soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Democrats don't know the difference. So Trump had posted that on Truth Social. Make that
That's
a little
the
bigger
second
here.
time he's posted it too.
Yeah, so he had posted that on Truth Social. So I was kind of like blown away by this because, you know, the Q drops hell as we're watching a movie. And like, it's been long speculated by a lot of us that follow MAGA or follow Q that Biden is not the same Biden that we've seen, you know, in the past. Like, something happened
There's
to Biden.
a little bit I can get down with on this.
Yep. So again, let's look at this one more time and read through it one more time. There is no Joe Biden, executed 2020. Biden clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless, mindless entities are what you see. So, and Trump.
Here's the first question I got to ask you, Hex.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Okay. So let's go ahead and get this cleared up.
Okay.
What is your opinion that he was executed in 2020? Do you believe that really happened?
Yes, I believe Biden was executed in 2020 for treason because he had done a lot of bad shit before that. I think Biden was executed in 2020 for treason. And hopefully by the end of this little segment, you'll kind of see my perspective on this along with everybody else.
Oh, this is where we're going to disagree. The shit talk commence.
Well, it's possible.
I'm kidding. For
So-
me, I don't think he was executed in 2020. I just think that I'm a little bit more on the sense of, yes, I agree that we have technology of masks and we can cover, you know, people's faces. And I think some of that shitty stuff probably went on. But as far as execution, I'm not sure. And I'm really surprised to see Donald Trump post this.
I'm not, but we'll get into that in just a second here. Let's see. Let me find the clip. I think I have it on here. Bear with me. Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's add this to stage.
Bait-in, clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless mindless.
Thank you, Marino. Thank you for the video.
There is no Joe Biden executed in 2020. Bait-in, clones, doubles, and robotic engineered soulless mindless.
Thanking you, Gwen, for hosting this. Thank you for doing this.
So did you see the difference there?
Absolutely. There was a huge difference.
Like, watch this one more time real quick. Let me back it up.
Doing this. Thank you for doing this. Doing this.
See?
But I agree. There's differences. That I can get behind. What about the clones? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's a mess.
Now, that's always a crazy one.
Okay, so I'm not behind the clones, the robotic stuff like that. That's not my thing. I'm not behind that.
Yeah,
My thing is, I think Joe Biden was executed in 2020, and the Biden that we've seen for the past 4 years isn't the real Biden, because I'll get into another clip here in a minute that'll kind of shed a little bit of light on that with some stuff that Trump says. But I think it was an actor based off the Q drops. I think it was an actor playing the part of Joe Biden, because we've got latex mask people
too far of a stretch
that look very realistic. Some of these latex masks. So again, why do rats abandon ship? You had Karine Jean-Pierre that we just talked about here just a little bit ago, switching to the Democratic Party. So we had
released
that.
the tell-all book of the broken White House. So on to the next.
On to the next. So we've got this, and Kamala Harris alleges cover up. Kamala Harris allegedly covered up Biden's mental decline. Democratic sources say, and there's a big article here if you want to go through it. But I've also got bottom of the screen on the right side. Original Sin is a book written by Jake Tapper. And Jake Tapper, I don't know if anybody knows who Jake Tapper is, but Jake Tapper worked for CNN, and he was all about there's no mental decline back, pre-election. There's no mental decline. You're all crazy, and it's QAnon conspiracy theory, and there is no QAnon. There's Q and there's anons. But that's what Jake Tapper was getting at with that.
He's getting just as much flack that is well deserved as KJP is getting. These people were sitting there doing it. They were covering it up. And then all of a sudden, when the shit went south, they wanted to turn their little heads around and save face and then try to save their careers. I really feel like that's what these people are trying to do.
So we've also got, well, like within this on the top, we've got in that article, it's talking about two California attorney generals running for the gubernatorial thing in this. And one of them is calling Harris out on her bullshit and how she was covering up for the Biden mental decline. So I found that pretty interesting, and I think that's going to come out. And I think Harris needs to be, kind of put into a court of law and questioned about this. But let's look at. Well,
you got the DOJ and Comey doing a full blown investigation now, and they're sending out their first subpoenas to the doctor of Joe Biden, who said he's okay. So we've got a lot of investigations actually going on into this cognitive decline.
Yeah, what was that doctor's name? I can't remember. But anyway, he was at the White House a whole lot. Like, there's video footage of him going in and out of the White House quite often. So anyway, this is the Amazon listing for Jake Tapper's book, Original Sin: President Biden's Decline. It's cover up and his what?
It's Kevin O'Connor. I think
Kevin O'Connor, yeah. So it's cover up and his disastrous choice to run again. So we're going to get into him running again too, which also leads back into the Qs. But let me see if I can pull this up here real quick. I've got this clip, and it's Jake Tapper. This was pre-election, or wait, no, this is now. I think when he's this is him on his book. So he's promoting his book now. So we'll get to the pre-election here in just a second. But let me find that. Did I load that up? I thought I loaded that up. Sorry, guys. We were up late last night putting this show together. So
which one are you looking for?
I'm looking for the CBS Clapper.
Tapper defends Biden, or
CBS Tapper on book is what I was looking for. I thought I had that loaded up.
Got it. Right.
Journalists Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson is shedding new light on the cognitive decline of President Biden. The book, Original Sin, depicts a years-long attempt by the president's family and close aides to shield the president's mental lapses from the public. And for tonight's interview, we are joined by CNN anchor and co-author of the book, Jake Tapper. Jake, thanks for being here.
Thanks, John. Good to be here.
The debate was the turning point. That's the hinge moment for you?
Well, it's the hinge moment for him and for the country. But what we all saw on stage that night was something else. It was somebody who was incoherent, who couldn't follow a train of thought. How did that person come to that stage that night? Because it wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't a cold. How did that happen? And that's what we tried to find out and figure out. And for people who are supportive of President Biden, I think it's important to understand that in some ways, A, you were lied to, and B, if you don't like President Trump, this is how we all got President Trump, this lie.
Lie is a word that has had some complexity in our business over the last several years. When did you come to know it was a lie? And by lie, what do you mean?
I mean that they were saying things about his acuity that were not true, and that they were denying facts about the attempt to hide the degradation, the deterioration of his acuity that were just patently false. Alex Thompson, my co-author, for example, when he was covering the fact that Biden's schedule was largely limited to 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., which he broke in the spring of 2023, the Biden team attacked it. They said it was false. They said it was fake news. It was not. It was true. It was 100% true. And throughout the election, and I'm sure you went through this, you call people, Democrats, like, what's going on? It doesn't look great. Before the debate, I mean, he's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's old, but he's fine. He wasn't fine.
Here's a statement from the Biden spokesperson about the book. There is nothing in this book that shows Joe Biden failed to do his job, as the authors have alleged, nor did they prove their allegation that there was a cover-up or conspiracy, nor do they show that our national security was threatened or where the president wasn't otherwise engaged in important matters of the presidency. In fact, Joe Biden was an effective president who led our country with empathy and skill.
Whether or not he's an effective president, that's for historians to decide. And obviously they think that, and obviously some people disagree, and that's not really for me to weigh in on. That statement, by the way, was written before they got a copy of the book, I should note. We do go into quite a lot of detail about the cover-up. In terms of the national security implications, we have two U.S. senators in the book, as you know. One is Senator Mark Warner, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, who has a very serious conversation with President Biden about 11 terrorists that the administration is about to release from Guantanamo Bay into Oman. And Warner thinks that President Biden doesn't understand the conversation. He's not up to speed, and it alarms him. It's not just he's not informed, it's something else. So I would disagree with their assessment that there were no actual implications about this addlement, which, by the way, they don't dispute that there was an addlement.
Why wasn't this something that was reported about Joe Biden and this cognitive decline? Why wasn't this reported in real time? And obviously people have criticized you in the book, have said, why didn't you report it in real time?
So there were people reporting on what they saw. The conservative media was, to their credit, all over this. Now, they didn't have insider information, but they were just making sense of all the clips and all of the weird moments and off-putting moments. But that said, Alex Thompson, who covered this heroically at Axios as White House correspondent, and I, when we got to work on this, we only were able to get this information after the election, after the sword of Damocles had fallen and Donald Trump had won, and Democrats were like, okay. And we're suddenly returning our emails, returning our texts, returning our calls, meeting us for drinks, because the threat, this existential threat that the Democrats perceived, that was no longer a thing. And a lot of people regretted that they hadn't told the press sooner, and really were mad at the Bidens and mad at the Politburo that interview.
All right, so that's Jake Tapper in his book.
What a bullshit response from him at the end of that. That's what I got. Did you see that? He was hit with the broad question of, why didn't you say something? And he, Gluck 3000.
Exactly. So we had that, and we'll get into like a video here just shortly of his prior response to the Biden decline. But before we get into that one, let's just move on through this progression of the show here. And we've got, oh, sorry, wrong slide. There we go. News treason over on X. News treason Dave. News channel 7. News treason channel 17. But anyway, he had posted this, and it's wow. Gutfield is starting to sound like one of us. Trump didn't just make the red hats; he made the red pills. I'd highlighted that in red. And the other thing I highlighted in red is Jake's audience has now learned that they have been taken by a hoax, which is exactly the key to the Great Awakening. Identifying that moment that you see. Well, anyway, what he's getting at here is like the audience who are watching this bullshit mainstream media. And again, I'm trying to expose the media for what they are, and I'm about to get into that. But the audience witnessed, this shit with Jake Tapper and him trying to expose Biden, but he wasn't really on that train back pre-election. He was on the whole Biden train, like I was saying, he's not having a mental decline and blah 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 blah. That's how Jake Tapper was. So let's watch this clip of
Tapper defends Biden.
No, Gutfield.
Oh, okay, Gutfield. Yeah, I got
so because this is what News Treason Channel 17 is getting at in this clip with Gutfield, and he's trying to put eyes on it so we can pay attention to it. And let's check it out.
All right, so here's the problem. This is different. The damage is done. The Democrats always thrived on hoaxes, assuming that by the time the big lie would be exposed, whether it would be Russian collusion or the Fine People hoax, they already got what they needed. The emotional impact of the lie resonated. The truth didn't matter. It's based on that understanding that in working in the press office. The big story always lands on the front page. 2 weeks later, the corrections on page B7. That's how it worked. The New York Times and the Washington Post still have their Pulitzers for the alleged Russian interference story, even though we know it's BS. But then something happened, and this is why it's so different. Tapper's book came out, and he deflates this hoax. But it was a hoax that we already knew, but his audience didn't. It was the first time that the correction didn't get buried in the back pages. Biden's infirmity is now more well known than Biden himself. His name will never be separated from what happened. So the interesting thing, even more interesting than that, if you can imagine, the book didn't sell. That tells you everything. His audience, Jake's audience, was just informed that they were stupid, that they were gullible, that they just got taken. Who wants to buy that book? More important, who wants to be a part of that party that sold you that lie? I don't think there's any way you can walk back from this hoax the way you could with others, because it was played on your side, and the reveal is so spectacular. And the result is resentment, bitterness, disgust over the actions of a party who thought they could pull this off, assuming that the correction would be minor. Instead, it is huge, perhaps the biggest political scandal in history. Finally, in terms of politics in general, the brainwash has worn off. Trump didn't just make the red hats. He made the red pills. People now realize that the Dems have no truth, but just assigned opinions. Think about all of these opinions. Rich people bad, poor people good, Joe Biden fine, Trump Hitler, George Floyd a martyr, BLM heroic, men can be women. These were assigned opinions. They came from committee. And once you're without these opinions, what's left? There's no structure. There's no unifying principle. There's no leader. That's what you're feeling. Trump realized this already because he was outside of politics, that for the past 40 years, all political opinions were assigned. You could be a Democrat. He was. You could be a Republican. He was. He is. So love him or hate him, he shattered this prism. There's no going back for Republicans and for Trumpers. Now it's the time for the Democrats to realize they've been suckered, that everything that they were told was assigned to them and not real.
Should we give Harold the red pill?
Yes.
We'll just put it in your
Tell him
drink,
it's a Flintstones vitamin.
Here you go. Chew it up.
It'll go down
Knock
well.
it back, Harold.
All right, so I think somehow again back to this Karine Jean-Pierre. I think somehow she got the red pill somewhere along the lines. Like, I think we should keep eyes on this with her,
Absolutely.
leaving the Democratic Party.
There's a possibility for this to explode into a full-blown tell-all. Lindy Lee, now you got KJP. There's a possibility for that. I'm not going to say that that's going to happen, but there is a possibility that she can come in and just say, look, here's the broken White House and here's what happened. I am curious to see what's in that book, but I also have to question, how in the hell did you write that so fast, KJP? Did you already have that ready to go? And how long was you lying to the American people, lady?
Well, again, like, you know, like I was talking about with her when she was press secretary, and Peter Ducey would just bust her chops, and like I felt bad for her because like he would bust her chops, and she's like, oh my God, and then like she just didn't want to get out there and spread the lies. Like she was starting to get it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not defending her. I still don't really like her.
She's put in a situation where you knew you had a dumbass for a president, and you're trying to make dumbass look smart. and
that was her job, you know, as press secretary, was to, you know, put positive stuff out there about the president. That's what she had to do. So I wonder, like, you know, when did she get one of Trump's red pills? Has she been awake and she just kind of like was playing the rest of her rollout in this?
Oh yeah.
So it kind of makes me wonder with her. Like again, that's something I think we probably need to keep eyes on, is the story with Karine Jean-Pierre. She looks like Sideshow Bob.
I'll be watching that one closely.
But anyway, let's have a look at Tapper. So we seen Tapper promote this book and promoting Biden's mental decline and blah 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 and all that stuff. Again, I think the mainstream media is trying to cover their tracks. They knew that Biden had a mental decline and they didn't want to admit it. They were told to go with the agenda, because that's what the mainstream media does, is go with the left-wing agenda. Oh, you're crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist and blah 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 blah. So we seen Jake Tapper, like I said, just promoting his book and how Biden has a mental decline in those videos we just watched. So now let's take a look at Jake Tapper pre-election and watch some of these clips here.
All right, so here's the problem. This is different. The damage is...
Sorry,
How
wrong.
do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You have
to watch somebody on stage search for
it's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you
stuttering,
were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have
is
one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure
President Biden embraces his stutter, talking about it, while Trump mocks it.
Oh, what happened? There was.
Oh, my bad. I accidentally turned it off. I thought that was it on the 251. I think it started over. But what about Tapper defending Biden, you know, pre-Jake Tapper book? That's insane.
Yeah, like that whole entire video went on of nothing but Tapper defending Biden pre-election.
Wow.
Like it's insane. Like, again, they're trying to cover their tracks. So, you know, this is what the mainstream media, mainstream news does, is they promote this or try to push this agenda and help push this agenda. I don't know if, like, there's a lot of people who are oh wait 1 second here, bear with me. But there's a lot of
exactly what the American people caught on to.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the thing with the mainstream media is, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's, you know, like when whenever they say we're going to our special correspondent at the White House or special correspondent in this or that, those people that they're referring to, the special correspondents, are FBI, ex CIA that worked for the deep state system.
Absolutely.
That's now in the news.
It's people that's bought off.
Yep.
Or they're put into a corner where they have to submit.
So
Democratic Party did.
We've had if anybody's wondering, Jake Tapper was mentioned in the Q drops not several, but a couple times. I think 2, if I'm not mistaken. But we've got this one. Let me remove that. Yeah, this one here. So this drop, Q3451, it's got a link to Tapper's, at that time, Twitter account, and it says explore further Q. So if you go below that, Jake Tapper just types evergreen, and somebody replies underneath of it, this is all going to get much worse. And I think it is. Like, we're getting ready to see that right now. So evergreen, I don't know if anybody knows the whole thing with evergreen, but
what's evergreen?
Evergreen. Well, let me give you a little bit of what evergreen is here. I think he's referring to. So presidents, when they come into office, they get a Secret Service code name. Obama's was Renegade. That was his Secret Service code name. When Bill Clinton was in office, his was Eagle. And when he was in there, his wife Hillary, like, they all get code names. Chelsea had one. I'm sure Flotus has one, but Hillary's was Evergreen. I'm not going to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but that all ties into a lot of the child trafficking and stuff like that with Hillary, with the Evergreen in the Q drops. And it also ties into a lot of Pizzagate with the child trafficking. But we had that.
That's probably because she had more bush than trees.
Let's see what else we got. Okay, so we had that, and then we had the other time that he was mentioned, Tapper was mentioned in the Q drops, is this one right here, and it's Q1515. And if you look here, I've got like Q says these reporters are. So hold on 1 second. Let me fix my screen here. These reporters and networks have been named in the WikiLeaks to have colluded with the DNC or Hillary campaign during the 2016 election cycle. So I'm going to start at the top, and Tapper's in this too, but I wanted to highlight these two because I hate these two. CBS News. I can't stand CBS News, but anyway, Gayle King is highlighted in there, and Nora O'Donnell is highlighted in there. But if you scroll on down toward the bottom of that Q drop, Jake Tapper is highlighted in there. Again, this goes back to what I was, saying with the video that we had just played of Tapper back in 2024, coming up on the election, pre-election, and even earlier, but how he was with the Biden decline within those 4 years, and then how he is now with his book. They're trying to cover their tracks.
Absolutely.
So
it's a sinking ship.
It is. And again, this is why this segment is called "Why Do Rats Abandon Ship?" Because you got Karine Jean-Pierre leaving the Democratic Party. You've got all these different news people coming out and saying we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know about his decline. So
multiple senators that have left the Democratic Party over the years. I mean, one right after another, just falling like dominoes.
Yep. So I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but Biden's mental decline, I'm sure everybody's seen this in the debate between Trump and Biden. So Biden's mental decline, a lot of people noticed it a lot earlier on, but I think the time frame that most people noticed this was when the debate happened between Trump and Biden. I mean, just check this shit out right here. You can obviously see that Biden, his mental decline was in full swing right here.
With the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
He sounded like he was going to poop. If we finally beat Medicaid, he reminded me of
Did you notice he didn't have the elongated forehead, the longer ears, the different skin tone at that interview?
His voice in that also reminded me of, I don't know if anybody's watched Beavis and Butthead growing up. I grew up watching Beavis and Butthead. But
I did. Yeah.
Was it Principal Strickland? I'm thinking of that had the Beavis and Butthead. That's what he reminded me of. He sounded like he was going to poop.
President Strickland.
President Strickland. I like it, President Strickland. So
I think the president didn't even know he's president. That's exactly why.
So we seen Biden's mental decline over the past 4 years, and we really seen it again at the 2024 coming up on the election. We seen it at the 2024 debate there with Biden with Trump, and it was awful. When he, I think I talked about this on the last show, is when he got done with that, he went backstage or wherever it was, and they had the whole entire separate screen and stuff from that. And Jill Biden comes up to him and pats him on the back, and she's like, "You done good, Joe. You done good."
She's the biggest peddler of Joe Biden I've ever met in life.
She needs to get held accountable for elderly abuse. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's where we agree. 100%,
So
man. Elder abuse for that lady.
Okay. So you're with me on this so far. She done that, and like I said, Biden really fucked that debate up. Like he was a train wreck. And that's, again, I think that's where the bulk of Americans and the world seen that, Biden isn't right. There's something wrong with him. So I was getting at this back at that time. I was telling my wife, like I think we talked about this too on last week's show. I was telling my wife that they're going to switch Biden out. It's either going to be Harris, it's going to be Hillary, or it's going to be Michelle Obama. They're going to switch Biden out with one of the three. And I kept telling my wife, and she,
I was at the same assumptions.
Yeah. And I was basing mine off of a Q drop, but before we get into that Q drop, I've got this. We watched this video last week on the show that you had sent me of Lindy Lee.
Oh, yeah.
So I took some highlights out of this that kind of pertain to what I'm getting at here with Joe Biden and his mental decline and change of batter and all that kind of stuff. So I want to play this video real quick. Unless you got something else.
No, that's it.
Okay. Let's check this little video I made out here of these clips from that last week's video.
You know who got him to, this is a very important part that I don't want to forget. Biden endorsed Harris 30 minutes after he dropped out. Do you remember?
I do.
On July 21st. Do you know who told him to do that?
Who's that?
Oh, James. My point is, they were essentially the president behind the scenes, and Biden was just the facade. All of these people knew that this was a final gravy train, that they would never be hired by another. Can you imagine another Democratic candidate hiring these people? It just wouldn't happen. They are Biden creatures through and through. They realized that this was their last act.
Okay, so the what is it?
Gotta love me some Lindy Lee, man.
I'm getting big into Lindy Lee, but that was all meant, in my opinion, that was all meant to expose. And this is another thing I was telling, a lot of people back then is with this debate, Biden was going to be exposed. They were going to they're going to put him out there. They're not going to give any meds or anything like that. And they're going to have a change of batter. So that all leads to Q4014. Let me see if I've been falling behind here, adding slides as I go. So let me pull this slide up real quick. There it is. And pop that on the screen here. So Q4014. And again, this is what I based my change of batter off of. She said Biden endorsed Harris. What was it? Just right shortly after the debate.
Oh yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes after the debate. So Q4014, again, we went over this last week. Why was she saved from officially announcing? Why was she reserved for last minute change? How do you attempt to sneak one in? How do you attempt to ensure victory? I think that that's what Q was hinting at in this, because they had a again. Let's move up to right above where I've got highlighted there in the red, like the line right above it says change of batter coming. I should have included that in my thing, but I knew that's what was going to happen, was that they were going to switch her out, and lo and behold, we had it happen. So,
well, that was kind of where I was at with it too. Just as far as, from the practical side of things, Joe Biden was already showing lots of signs and just too much information that he was totally needing to be replaced. The Democrats couldn't hide it anymore. What's your obvious choice? It's going to be Kamala Harris. And why? Because they're the party of DEI, just like, Lindy Lee said. How in the world could you be the party of DEI and not have a female black president as or female black vice president? How could that not be your pick? Although there were so much like smarter picks, even for Kamala. My Lord, she picked Tampon Walls. Good Lord. If she'd picked Ben Shapiro, she might have had a better chance. But why do people do what they do? I don't know. I don't know what to tell these people. Liberals and Democrats are retarded. They do dumb shit.
Exactly. We've got some stuff on that too tonight. That was the Q drop. That was what I was getting at with the change of batter. But we also had, let's see here, good old clandestine over on X. And this is kind of where I based all of this this whole entire segment around. But clandestine over on X. 1 second here. Let me. Oh, let me go through my slides here again. Okay, so clandestine over on X had put this out, and he says the rats are starting to eat each other. Mainstream media propagandist Chuck Todd compares the Biden regime to the Soviet Union and claims the press are not to blame for lying about the Biden decline. So, again, that's exactly what I've been getting at. So we've got this little clip here of Chuck Todd, and he's trying to defend the mainstream media. And let me see, do I have that loaded up? Chuck Todd. Yep, I got it right here. Let's watch this.
This is a party that had leadership atrophy, and at the same time, those that were sort of almost behaving like the old Soviet Union, which is, the leader dies and everybody wants to keep their power and keep their influence. So I do think this scandal should be more laser focused on the Democratic Party. I think the press is, again, I always look at the criticism of the press here through the person that's making the criticism. And I think in some ways there's almost an eagerness to blame the press without looking at actual who should be blamed here. And it's the leadership and, frankly, the members of the Biden administration and the leadership of the Democratic Party, who they're the ones that lied. Look, at the end of the day, no journalist is as good as their sources. At the end of the day, the Democratic Party lied to the American people. The leadership of the party lied to the American people. And that's where this scandal should be centered. This is a party that had leadership atrophy, and at the same time, those that were sort of almost behaving like the old Soviet Union.
Nope. Sorry, I had that clip a little bit extended. But, you got Chuck Todd there, like he's trying to cover his tracks too. You still with me, Parabellum? Did I lose you? Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. So you got Chuck Todd trying to cover his tracks also. Again, this all goes back to the Q drops with Biden. We watched that with Biden. And Trump had made that. Let me see if I can. Well,
I see it as the house of cards is falling, bro. Donald Trump has won. He's been winning for the last few years, and everybody's trying to either save face, save their career, or save their position or their status. They are all falling like a RICO case,
Yeah. again, we had like what we just went over here with Trump and his Truth Social post. Pull this up real quick again. So where's it at? There it is. So we had this. Well,
oh,
yep, having a little bit of a glitch here.
we trying to pull up.
Trying to remove that slide and pull up the next slide. There we go. Remove and there we go. Add. So we had this with again, back to this. We had Trump's Truth Social post about Biden and the clones and all that. Again, I think that we aren't seeing the Biden that we knew prior to his presidency.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's just old man lost his shit. You know what I mean? Hey, the cheese slid off the cracker, bro, and people started taking advantage of him. Absolutely. That's human nature.
I may have a little bit of cognitive decline here. I'm trying this is hard to try to pull this stuff up on the fly. So, again, that wasn't the Biden that we thought that we knew. It was a different Biden. So the Q drops talk about, you're watching a movie. So you've got Q461 says, what makes a great movie? Great actors. Again, think about that video clip we watched with Biden and, showing the mask thing and all that stuff that we watched here just a little bit ago. And then you got Q 1191 says, what makes a good movie? Q. And then you've got Q, this one, the one on the right side of the screen is from Q 1865. Actors will act. Which this kind of ties into some Elon stuff too, is the actors will act that we're getting ready to jump into here. So actors will act, you got that. And then I'm just giving you some examples of how many times Q has told us that we are watching a scripted movie. So right there, everything has meaning. You are watching a scripted movie. Q. That's from drop 1450. We are watching a scripted movie. Everything we're seeing has already been pre-scripted, pre-done, pre-planned out. Yeah. So let's get into a little bit of
that was something I never could understand about like Q drops. Like I've seen them before and I've tried to read them, but it looked like a Pornhub search for a Mormon. It's just keywords. You know what I mean? Sorry, dude. That's what. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I didn't mean to remove it.
Okay. It's like there's nothing sexual about it, but it's just like 12 plus 2. I get confused, man. I'm like, what is up with keywords? Because with keywords, it's so easy to relate.
Well,
so much information in hindsight. That's why I still have my doubts.
The thing is, okay, so I've said this many times. Q was a military intelligence operation put in place to inform the people. But with that said, the Q team couldn't come out full on and give every bit of detail. So Q gave us crumbs.
Right, like Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, I guess you could.
They get cooked in the oven in the original version, right? Sorry, bro.
Oh, shit.
I'm coming hard, man. I'm swinging hard.
I'm going to blow your mind with this.
All right. I'll listen. Here we go.
All right, so let's bear with me. I'm going to have to pull these up on the fly. So we've got some Elon news here. So Elon recently was add that stage. Elon recently was in the White House with Trump, and what's he got there? He's got a black eye.
That's Brigitte Macron. Yeah.
Brigitte Macron got him.
Hold it, Elon, dude.
He said it was his son X, but yeah, we'll go with. Okay, so apparently Elon got punched by Brigitte Macron.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyway, Elon's in there. They're going over, Trump and Elon are going over the big beautiful bill and talking about it. And Elon has a black eye, and him and Trump just keep talking, and that happens. So you can see it there. He's also, I think I've got a. Let me make sure I have it. I think I have a clip of that too. Yep. Okay. Maybe. But anyway, let's move on. So, black eye. So Q 2615, and Anon had posted, Q, should we be prepared for some kind of shutdown? Q replies and says, no. Reports of power grid attacks, 6 months prep, should be discarded. While attacks do occur, we are safeguarded by black eye. So I don't know if
that's odd.
Yeah, okay. Let's dig a little deeper into this now. So black eye that Q was referring to there is a military project or program that it's hard to find anything out really about it. Like even doing Google searches and stuff like that, it's really hard to find something about it. But black eye is a military operation program put into place to defend against, if I'm not mistaken, like from what I gather, cyber attacks and stuff like that.
Okay.
So you've got Elon there with a black eye, which we have here, and then all of a sudden
You're
Elon's.
telling me if Elon shows up in the media in the next couple of weeks and he has a second black eye, but watch the power grid.
Not really. That's not what I'm getting at. But like Elon had that black eye. So back to this slide, the bottom. I kind of Googled, and Google AI says the information related to the programs or product called Black Eye secret program is not readily available. So again, it's hard to find information about Black Eye.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of crazy. Like right after all this happened, Elon. Let me see. Do I have that up here? Oh, I have to add that. But it's kind of crazy. Like right after that, Elon had changed his profile on X and put a new image up here. Let me add that to the stage real quick. That's that. Oh, I got too many. It's hard to keep up with all this. Let me remove some of these real quick.
There we go. Yeah. Move them from stage.
Yeah. And all of this, we put up so many at a time. So anyway, let me try to add that again now. So Elon had changed his profile on X, the image in there, and he changed to that.
Uh-oh.
So Grok is X's AI that they have on there that you have access to when you have an account. But the round part of it there with the black in it, it kind of looks like a black eye. So,
or Q.
We have seen, maybe a Q. The Grok thing, backwards Q. But anyway, we've seen a lot here, like this whole conflict with Trump and Elon, and they're bashing each other, all the shit we're seeing. But what was the first thing that Elon had posted on X? He had posted about the Trump being involved in the Epstein stuff. Epstein files.
Or the Epstein, he's listed in Epstein. Mm-hmm.
He's listed in Epstein. But Elon's not lying. Trump is in the Epstein files. Trump was a one second, I was trying to pull this up here. Well, I thought I had it. No, apparently I didn't clip that, but Trump is listed in the Epstein files. A lot of people, again, don't know this, but Trump was part of taking down Epstein. The video clip that Elon had posted of Trump was, if you watch it, I think it was an ABC News clip, and he was standing there with all these younger girls. Well, these younger girls were of age. They were, I think, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders or something like that. Did you see it, Parabellum?
Yeah, I believe so. So it was like underage girls that Jeffrey Epstein was. Donald Trump ended up kicking him out of his party. I do know that.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The clip was like Elon was kind of hinting that they were underage girls, but they wouldn't. If you go back and look at the original clip, it was Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I think is who they were, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. But they were all of age, and Trump didn't do anything in that. So again, I think every bit of this that we're seeing with Elon is a show, and I think Elon is heavily tied into the Q drops. Because of a lot of stuff that he had posted on X that kind of relates to that. And let me pull this up right here real quick. So you see this image right here. The on the left side of the screen is Q14, and we have the big famous painting, Washington crossing the Delaware there, and then right underneath that we have a Q drop. It's upside down. It's 1440. But if you flip that over, a lot of Vanons seen that and connected that if you flip it upside down, it makes a gun. And it says boom, 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 boom. So a week to remember, dark fly, blackout necessary. I think we're probably seeing the blackout right now with Elon and Trump doing what, the whole spiel with him. So Elon had posted this on the right side of your screen. If you look at that image that Elon has posted there.
Oh, I remember that. That was a couple years back. Elon posted that.
Okay, so let's really look at this. So in Elon's image, what do you see in the background there?
On the top, George Washington.
Cross of the Delaware, the same image.
Delaware.
Okay, so now let's look at the Q drop, 1440, and it's upside down. It makes a gun. What's laying right below the image of Washington crossing the Delaware?
Oh, a pistol.
A pistol, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how many booms are in that?
Looks like 4, and you got 4 coke cans, right?
Yep. So we had that. That's kind of like hard to ignore in itself. So let's pull up the next slide here.
Yeah, when did that Q drop? Did it drop before that photo?
That Q dropped, way before that photo. It was 10/31/2017. Okay. That Q dropped at 11 o'clock. So let's move on to.
Now that's interesting. If it came out before that photo, that is quite.
Yeah. Just wait. So we've got this one. Add the stage. So Q621 says, "Holy crap, you're killing me." This is an anon post. Holy crap, you're killing me. Took a sleeping pill a couple hours ago, and now I'm guzzling coffee to fight it. God bless you for this amazing work that you're doing. So Q replies, "Nobody is sleeping tonight. Let that sink in." Right? Okay. So with that said, do you remember when Elon bought Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you remember exactly what happened there, but let's pull. I thought I had that. Oh, 1 second. I have not exported that slide yet. Let me export that. And I'll pull it up real quick. So when Elon bought Twitter, right before Elon bought Twitter, he had this conversation here on X, and it's with Dave Smith. And Elon says, "I love Twitter." Dave Smith says, "You should buy it then." Elon replies, "How much is it?" So that was on the on 12/21 of 2017. So you got 2 17s in that. And then if you add up the timestamp there at the bottom, it's also a 17. 17 is Q, the 17th letter of the alphabet. So we have that. And that was pretty cool. But when Elon bought X, I don't have a clip of it. I was trying to find one tonight, but I couldn't find it. But when he bought X, which, at that time was Twitter, he come through the doors of Twitter and like he had this picture of him and he's carrying this big sink. Like he went down to a store that sells plumbing supplies, I'm assuming, or something, and bought this sink. So as he's going into the X or Twitter's, headquarters at the time, he walks through and this picture gets taken and he posts on X that he says, let that sink in, which goes right back to, and I think if I'm not mistaken, this was like just prior, like a couple days prior to the Delta of this Q drop that says, let that sink in. And then Elon post a picture of him buying Twitter, coming through the door, carrying a sink. And in his post, he says, let that sink in. So you've got that. And 1 second, let me remove a couple slides here. What do we got next? The other thing that Elon done was oh, there it is. So Elon also had done this, which is really heavily in the queues.
Joe.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
We've had lots of drinks.
So Elon had changed his name over on X at one point to Cicus Maximus. So
frog.
Yep. Not. Yeah. I guess we'll go with that. Let me share here, and let me pull. Where is it at?
How do you have 909 following but 209 million followers? Is that, I guess that's just how that works.
What is it?
909 following but 209 million followers.
Who has that?
Cicus Maximus, I guess maybe where they just recreated that profile or whatever, Elon. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here and let's son of a gun. There we go. Okay, so let's do a live little bit of a dig here right on stage. So Elon changed his name to Cicus Maximus. So I'm over here on QAG. Let's type in Kick. And if anybody's curious as to where Kick came from actually World of Warcraft. I don't know if anybody out there has played World of Warcraft, but you have Horde and Alliance. Okay, you play World of Warcraft, so you know that if you're a Horde or an Alliance, you can't communicate with each other, right? Because it comes up as jumble on the screen.
Oh yeah,
based on what faction you play for. Players who play Horde can't see what Alliance is, typing. It comes up as jumbled and vice versa. So if you typed LOL, it came up as KEK, Kick. Hence, LOL, Kick. So let's search the Q drops here real quick, and I'm just going to scroll through this. Like everything highlighted in yellow is Kick, K-E-K. So like there are quite a few. So that's where Kick came from. But anyway, that's all around Q, with Elon changing his name to Cicus Maximus. So we have that. And then after following that, this is like a really good one I kind of liked. Actually, I'm going to skip that one. No, actually, I'm not going to skip that one. I think that one needs to be in there too. So Elon, we had been waiting for Elon to just, like, he had been posting all this stuff on X, and we've been waiting for a full-on Q kind of related post. So he posted, look at that, QNN. And then if you zoom in on that coffee mug there, it's hard to see. Maybe I can make it bigger and you can see it, but in that coffee mug are the initials WWG1 WGA, which is where we go on, we go all, out of the Q drops, which is also from the movie. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, he had posted that with a Pepe frog, which is Pepe is a kind of symbolic of Q. But that was cool. But the other thing that he had, let me share my screen again here. I'm sorry, guys. We'll wrap this up here in just a second. Let's see. Where is my screen? Well, I can't find it. Oh, okay. Sorry. So stop share and share screen again. Again, guys, we've been up, like we were both up late last night putting this together, so bear with us. All right, so here's my screen. I'm going to go to X. Let me add that to stage. Oh, wrong one. StreamYard is being weird tonight.
It's crazy.
Like I shared my screen and it's not popping up.
Make sure if there's anything that we need to remove. Are you trying to pull up? Yep, there you go.
Okay, so that's removed, but my screen in the cues down here at the bottom for the stage isn't pulling up my screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, so all right, so I want to pull this up real quick. Elon had made this video and posted it. So let's give this a play here real quick. This is pretty neat.
With us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. 2024 is our final battle. They stole our jobs and they plundered our wealth. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
The activation word, Ronald McDonald.
We will drive out the globalists.
All patriots go.
We will cast out the communists. America will start winning again. Winning like never before. We will bring back our jobs. We will bring back our borders. And we will bring back our dreams.
All right, so did you notice anything in that video particular?
No, I didn't see it. I had to speak with the lady and the children at the moment.
Oh, okay. So within that video, we had. Do you see it?
Oh, the Q and the Patriots.
Yep.
Well, that's a huge jump on a keyboard. I will give you that, because the O's on the right and the Q's on the left.
So I think everything we're seeing with Elon and Trump right now, with all of this stuff, with them bickering back and forth, I think it's all part of the show. Again, we just went over this right before we started into this segment of Elon. Was Q said, what makes a good movie? Great actors. Actors will act. You're watching a scripted movie. So
that's a good possibility.
That, and the other thing too is, like, you know, Elon, he holds the biggest contract for the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
He has Starlink, and then, like we talked about, Black Eye there, and safeguarding America from cyber attacks and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that the whole Black Eye program is like satellites up in space that kind of guard from cyber attacks. That, you know, it's kind of a top secret thing. And then that, and we had what was it? You had that clip. Do you want to pull that up of Elon and
the purple room clip about Elon and
let me see which one that was. You sent it to me.
Carl
there.
Higbie about the child?
Yeah, purple room.
Yeah, let me pull that up.
Yeah,
quick.
pull that up.
So this is something great. I was going to share it with Badass Clips, but we will put it down. So this is you got the big feud going on with Elon, right? You got the big Elon and Trump, the big feuds going on. You got a bromance that's an absolute disaster, but yet you have multiple opinions. Either this is just two billionaires fighting and they're trying to measure whose wiener's bigger, or it's all part of the show. That's going to be your 2 point of views that's going to go down with this. But what I'd like to share is just an absolute funny video that I think makes a really great point that kind of goes along with what you're saying, Hex. It's all part of a show. So
it is.
Without further ado, let's pull that through. And we'll play that for you real quick. This is Carl Higbie on Newsmax.
You having the same StreamYard issues I had?
Sorry about that. Apparently, you got to edit stage before. Sorry about that. I was playing the video. It didn't work out, but here we go.
Still love Trump, and I really like Elon. This is just a really crappy scenario right now, and I really hope these two can patch these things up, because I think Elon took a low blow by tweeting that, quote, DJT was on the Epstein client list. I mean, something that he knows can't be immediately verified. Also, if Trump was on that island doing something illegal, after all the legal battles that Biden threw at him, if he had done something illegal with Jeffrey Epstein, you would think they would have thrown that at him, no? They pulled out the stops on everything else. The only thing we can point to that was a known association with Epstein was that he was at his club once. And by the way, Trump kicked him out of that club because of reported bad behavior. And also, Elon, if you knew he was on the Epstein client list, why did you let him board Marine One with your son? Just asking.
First of all, damn. What about that? Oh, you're muted.
All right, I'm back. But yeah, why would Elon let X on board with Trump if he thought he was a pedophile?
Absolutely. I mean,
Again,
it begs the big question. I thought that was a super great point. That's, to me, absolutely hilarious. As you can be the smartest man in the world and you've got a whole lot of money, but you just lost that one. Okay.
Yep.
You absolutely lost that one, Elon. If you're worried about him being on the Epstein client list, then why are you letting your son board him on Marine One? That was a great point. You can't erase that.
I'm telling you, like this is all a show. What we're seeing right now, this whole conflict between Trump and Elon is all a show. And it's, again, I think it's made to like, okay, so right after this happened, we had there was Democrats screaming left and right to release the Epstein files. So I think this is either, I don't know, I'm not sure what it's for. We have to give it a little bit of time to see how it plays out, but I think it's either to get the people prepared for the Epstein files, or like I said earlier, to expose more rhinos, more deep state operatives in this.
Well, you look at the financial news that goes with that as well. You see this big huge ordeal that it's blew into a head, and this big huge fight that's going down. But guess what? Tesla stocks just raised $10 per share today. That's curious.
Yeah.
You know, why did they raise $10 in the middle of this feud? Is it part of the show? I don't know. I'll have
it's
to
part of the
kinda
show.
go with you a little bit on that.
Get your popcorn, people. Buckle up. This is part of the show. Everything you're watching with Elon and Trump is all a put on, an act, optics, and it's meant to expose some shit or get people prepared for shit. I'm telling you, I promise you it is.
Yeah.
Don't sweat this stuff with Trump and Elon.
We'll see how it plays out.
If when this all gets done, I think Elon should get an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor.
That's great.
Dramatic reality TV
dramatic
drama.
actor in a reality drama, Guardians of the Pedophiles.
The Guardians of the Pedophiles goes right back
That's
to
great.
just wait. The Guardians of the Pedophiles goes right back to this Q drop.
Robert De Niro's going to be so pissed. Fucking liberal.
Got a little more proof.
Oh, wrong one. Right here. This was in the Q drops. And Q was telling us you're watching 3 movies play out at the same time. Guardians of the Pedophiles, Panic in DC, and we've seen the Guardians of the Pedophile and Panic in DC. We've seen that play out. Like they're panicking like crazy in DC. And then FISA-gate, which all goes back to Obama, goes back to the 2024 Russia shit.
Oh yeah.
If you look up what a FISA is, like you can see all
Foreign
that.
Intelligence Surveillance Act.
Yeah, exactly. But we're seeing, I think like I'd put up in this meme I made, Guardians of the Pedophiles is the movie I was referring to that Elon was in, which come right out of those Q drops. And he has laid it on so freaking thick with
He's went far and beyond as far as like really trying to be the first person to ever burn Donald Trump down.
Yep.
It does feel quite fake.
It is totally fake. Every bit of that is totally fake.
You didn't go down this way.
So just hang with it, people. And I'm telling you, Elon and Trump, I don't know if anybody remembers this or not, but do you remember like when Trump was we were coming up on the 2024 election, they had all the Republican candidates. And at that time, Ron DeSantis decided to run. And what was Trump calling him? Ron DeSanctimonious.
Sanctimonious, yeah, absolutely.
So the Democrats were backing DeSantis at that time. That's where he was getting his funding from for his campaign. And I kept saying this. I'm like, DeSantis is not going to be your presidential candidate. DeSantis will end up dropping out. I kept saying it and saying it and saying it. And lo and behold, DeSantis sucked up all of their funding so they couldn't bet on another horse. And then he drops out and supports Trump.
I can tell you one thing. I know when all that was going on, I never even thought of JD Vance. And I really, my choice.
Oh, I didn't either.
Hell, didn't Ron DeSantis run as a vice president with Donald Trump, and then we all of a sudden got the Rust Belt vice president, J.D. Vance, coming in there, with his backwoods Kentucky drug-addicted recovery story. And, man, he gained my heart. Absolutely. That guy absolutely came in, destroyed for Donald Trump. Done great.
My wife was the same way. Like we'd watched, what was his movie, Hillbilly Heritage?
Oh yeah,
JD Vance.
What's the name of that movie, honey?
I think it was called Hillbilly Heritage.
Elegy.
Hillbilly Elegy, yeah.
Yes.
But my wife and I had watched that, and like she wasn't a big JD Vance fan at the time. But then whenever the debate come up with JD and Harris, like Tiff got on board with that. Like she was all about JD then. Like she's like, holy crap, this guy's awesome. And I'm like, I told you so.
Great. And he won over so many females whenever he showed up at that debate, and he looked like a sharp-dressed man. Man, them women went wild on JD, dude. I'm telling you, they absolutely got his support.
All right. Let's get back to, like with this whole thing, all of this. We started this whole segment off with Joe Biden and not being the Joe Biden we know. So I'll kind of clip this from a show that I'll watch, Absolute Storm. Parabellum, really pay attention to this. Watch it all the way through. Like you'll see what I'm getting at here with Joe Biden wasn't Joe Biden. We're watching an actor. So let's take a look at this.
With a little more sauce, if you will, and we've shown some of these things on previous episodes, but it's great to kind of connect the dots here. So what do you got, Abs?
All right, so before I get to my post on the right, there's a couple of things I'm gonna show to kind of set the stage. And the first thing I'll point out, one of the first EOs that Trump signed in the second administration was to expand the death penalty to include firing squads. Keep that in mind with everything Joe was just saying about how many times Trump asked, "Where's Biden? Is Biden shot?" Biden's been shot. The first thing I want to show, though, is going to be this quick screen share from Twitter. Watch this, friends, and then I will make my point.
Tu étais, aime-moi, prends-moi dans tes bras et je n'ai plus personne. Ne laisse pas ton odeur imprégner mes draps et si tu m'abandonnes, je suis pas celle que tu crois. Aucun cabron ne m'a touché, à part toi, caballero, personne ne m'a touché.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I said, look at that shit. A mask.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me again, Biden isn't an actor. Like we've seen all that stuff with around
Dude,
Biden.
like I said, Johnny Knoxville had this crap started like 10 years ago. You know, this kind of technology. And it's sold for millions and millions in the box office. But look at how far we've come.
Well, let's continue watching this because I'm like a television sales guy. But wait, there's more.
Tell me more about how there's absolutely no possibility that it could have been somebody wearing a mask. And I'm with Joe. I don't really get with the whole clone thing and all of that. But I certainly don't dismiss the possibility the Biden we were seeing was not the Biden we were used to. So my post over to the right, I said, just a reminder that on Inauguration Day in 2021, Biden got a gun salute reserved for funerals or visiting foreign dignitaries.
Did you catch that? Biden got a gun salute reserved for funerals or visiting foreign dignitaries on his inauguration day. So pay really special close attention to this.
Sorry, our military did not randomly forget which gun salute to give an incoming president. So take a look at the following video. It's about a minute and a half. You're going to see 3 different salutes for 3 different incoming presidents in this video. You're going to see a salute. I'm sorry. You're going to see a salute for George H.W. Bush. You're going to see a salute for Biden, and you're going to see a salute for Trump. You're going to notice that Biden's salute on his inauguration day is markedly different than the other 2. Let's have a look.
Cannons firing at 9-second intervals.
One of those was not like the other. Presidents get a 3-second interval in between 21 different shots. Biden got a 9-second interval. Doesn't make sense. The military didn't just forget what gun salute to give an incoming president. The next piece, which some of you may have forgotten or just weren't aware about, this was after Biden was inaugurated, and this was the view from inside one of the vehicles in his motorcade as he's going down Pennsylvania Avenue. Because it's totally normal for the military to turn their backs on an incoming president. Right, Joe? They just do that all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
That's weird.
But wait, there's more. You guys remember the actual inauguration day?
Oh.
Trump's inauguration, 2017. General in the middle, full ribbon stack is visible, his rank, his branch, everything about his service is visible. Down low, it's all hidden. There's nothing on the sleeves. The jacket is covering up. If he is wearing a ribbon stack, it's covering up his stack. There's nothing showing. And
I want to pause this here for just a second because pay close attention to Melania over there beside of Trump. She's got the Tiffany blue dress on.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so that was a Jackie Kennedy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thing that she wore. So again, actors. So look at Jill. She's got Tiffany blue also.
Huh.
That I don't know if they've caught this. Like they didn't catch it like in this clip, but I caught that they both have Tiffany blue. actors put into place, that kind of thing. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that, but let's finish this. We're almost done with it.
Had a lot of people say, well, it was cold that day. You mean to tell me it wasn't cold 4 years prior in January on DC when Trump was being inaugurated? I mean, it's clearly cold. Look at Pence and his wife. They're clearly bundled up. Look at Trump. Look at Melania. It's clearly cold that day. General's still showing everything. You know why that fella's not showing anything down low? Because he doesn't recognize Joe Biden as the incoming president. It's pretty simple. Now, you put all three of these things together, them turning their backs, the different gun salute, this picture from right here at the inauguration, and I defy you to tell me that they weren't sending you a message that this dude is not our recognized POTUS. And Joe just touched up on the next clip I'm going to show a few moments ago where how many times did Trump say Biden shot? Let's have a look.
Guy doesn't know he's alive. He's shot. The guy's shot. He's shot. He's shot. Biden is shot. You know he's shot, right? He's shot. He's shot, just so we understand. We cannot have a leader that's just about half shot. How's he doing? Not well. Joe is shot. It's shot. It's shot. Where it is. Look, this guy is shot. He's shot. That's Joe Biden. He's shot. Biden doesn't know he's alive.
And big tip to our friend Real AF Patriot for putting that little clip, that little montage together there. So, Joe, what do you think is more likely at this point, man? Is it that Trump is telling all of us to stop decoding and stop talking about the, quote, nonsense that it wasn't really Biden? Or do you think that maybe perhaps Trump was throwing a troll out there to confirm that the last 4 years were not the actual Joe Biden? Which one makes more sense to you after everything we've seen since 2017?
I'm going to have to go with door number 2. What do I win?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. At least that's where my opinion's at, man. I think he was showing everybody, no, that wasn't the real Biden the last 4 years. And what's funny is none of us hardly even did a damn decode to the thing. We just said, hey, look at this. Like it was that obvious. It didn't even need a damn decode, but went ahead and put a couple together anyway.
Okay, wow. So that was great. Again, like I said, most people could see back then that Biden's mental decline was awful, and then you had all the other stuff with the stuff that looked like mask. But you had Trump post this. There is no Joe Biden. He posted this on Truth Social. So, what's your thoughts on that, Parabellum?
Well, on that whole video, actually, is what I'd like to go over, and what we just played right there. I have some different opinions for each individual part of that video. As far as the different salutes that were given, I can tell you from prior service, Army, combat, veteran service, I can tell you, man, that even that kind of response goes all the way down to a captain or a lieutenant that you have that you respect, or one that you don't respect, all the way up to the president, your commander in chief. So generally, men in the military, like I said, from lieutenant to butterbar to captain to full bird colonel, all the way up to general, all the way up to the president, the response, as far as I know it to be, is unanimously the same. If we truly don't have any respect for you, you don't get everything we got. Bottom line, it's that damn simple.
Hence the salute that Biden got was reserved for a funeral of a politician or something like that, or what was it? An incoming dignitary, I think's what he said.
Yeah, well, men in the military are absolutely savage. There is one thing that we have unanimously across the board, regardless of who our leaders are or whoever it may be that is our commander in chief. If we have the unanimous decision or the majority decision within our battalion or within our division that we do not support you, you're going to get a different type of salute. You're going to get a different type of anything.
Yeah, exactly. So are you leaning more toward the possibility that Biden was an actor put into place to play out these 4 years to expose it to the people?
I got to get into the second part. To me personally, I feel like this is just strictly your military showing you that we are still military, that we are men who,
I mean, again, again, military's not going to forget how to do a gun salute to an incoming president.
Absolutely not. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to forget. And it's all based on a respect value, a respect moral compass. I promise you, as a prior service Army combat veteran, 11 Bravo infantry, done a full combat.
You know what?
If there is somebody that I don't respect and that general's coming in, he's getting a half-ass salute. I promise you.
Exactly.
It's going to be more robotic, like, oh, that's required. So, yeah.
I think maybe I'm like,
you stop, you go to full attention. Oh, you give them the few seconds and you drop, man. That's what you get when you're actually respected.
I think maybe I've got a hold of your leg and I'm like starting to pull you down this rabbit hole.
No, not really.
I don't know. You're like saying some stuff that I agree with, and I think you're starting to slowly.
I think that's a little bit more of the similar views, but just this is particularly from prior.
You may want to grab onto it like a piece of lettuce or something to try to pull yourself out of it.
Well, no, for me, it's human nature. It's especially if you are somebody that has served time in the military and you've lived with these guys in the barracks and you've done the job and you've spoke to them and you know them on a personal level. You absolutely understand that if you're a captain that we don't respect, we're going to treat you differently. I freaking promise you, because the grunts in the military, we're savage. Okay. At the end of the day, we are savage, and we're going to show you that in any moment that we can. And most likely we're having to follow procedure and protocol. But if we get any little bit of an opportunity to show you, like live on TV, and we get a chance to humiliate you, hey, these dudes that show up, kick ass, take names, and put bullets, 2 in the chest and 1 in the head, they're going to do it. They're going to take it every time because that's the way they operate. But when you get to the second part of the video of what you was talking about President Trump gets somebody who has full rank and everything that's going on, of all the achievements of a general, whatever. You got ARCOMs, you got all the awards, Silver Cross, anything that may be going on in that get up that's on his uniform, compared to Joe Biden and somebody that's got none. Now, I'll give you a little bit. I can give you the ideology that maybe somebody, can play that story. I think that you're playing out. But for me, I think it's yet the men of the military getting a chance to say, we don't respect you. You're not our leader. And this is exactly how we're going to show it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because they do that. I've just seen it through personal experience. I've just seen it. I've had captains try to lead us into battle in Iraq, and they're just nerdy. They're weird. They're quirky. They're off. They don't have the infantry vibe. And these guys are like, son of a bitch, we're going to go get killed for this motherfucker. You know what I mean? But then you got guys that are real true patriots, people like, Tom Homan type characters. Okay. And, I had a major in my military unit. He was just no bullshit, and he was ready to kick ass, and he expected you to do the same thing. Those are the men that we show up for, we do those things for. And I think that video kind of portrays that for me, as far as a personal experience of how military men, kind of communicate within those kind of territories.
All right. Yeah, I can see that. We're getting ready to just about wrap the show up. We only got a little bit more left. So let's get into, I think you had sent me this clip. We're getting ready to get into. It's we have a small nothing is happening segment to the show tonight. It's not that big, but the video clip we got is happening now in America. We talked about this last night. Do you remember Parabellum?
Yes.
Okay, so nothing is happening in America. Let's get into a little bit of what's happening in America. Do you got any commentary before we start this?
No, absolutely. Let's jump right into the video because nothing's happening, right?
Yep, nothing's happening. Let's see what's happening.
President Trump promised to drill, baby, drill during his campaign. Now his administration is aiming to do more of it.
Scripps News Global Affairs correspondent Maya Rodriguez is live in our D.C. newsroom. And Maya, what is the president planning to do to expand drilling?
Yeah, Andrew, President Trump declared an energy emergency on his first day back in office. He wants more oil production in the U.S. and sees Alaska as key to making that happen. But environmental groups are pushing back against new plans from the administration. The Trump administration planning to roll back federal restrictions on oil and gas development across millions of acres of Alaskan wilderness. The move would reverse protections put in place under President Biden. During an event with Trump administration officials on Monday, Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan literally ripping up those Biden-era rules.
Get rid of them, right? They're gone.
Damn right.
It's a
Get
new
rid of them,
day.
son.
President Trump has pushed for the U.S. to become less dependent on foreign fuel sources, despite the U.S. exporting more petroleum than it imports. Alaska's production of oil peaked at over 2 billion barrels per day in the late 1980s, but has dropped off to fewer than 500,000 barrels over the past 5 years.
One of the key reasons why Alaskan production has gone down is because restrictions from the federal government.
Mike Summers is the president and CEO of the American Petroleum Institute, which supports more drilling.
If we lift these federal restrictions, we're going to be able to get more oil, more natural gas out of the great state of Alaska for the use of American consumers.
Environmental groups, though, are criticizing the plan. Marley Goska is the Alaska attorney for the Center for Biological Diversity.
It'll be devastating both for the local human and wildlife populations up there and for the global community.
Burning fossil fuels is the main driver of climate change, according to the EPA, and Alaska is warming at a rate faster than any other U.S. state. The proposed reversal is not final yet. The Interior Department said it would accept public comment on its plan for 60 days. Andrew?
And Maya, what could this mean down the road when it comes to U.S. oil supply and ultimately what people pay for gas?
You know, that's something a lot of people will be thinking about when they hear all this. It's really hard to say exactly how this could impact gas prices, but a supply chain management professor that we spoke to pointed out it's important to remember that the gas market is global. So just because one country, like the U.S., changes how much it produces, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to impact prices domestically or even across the board. Andrew?
All right, Scripps News Global.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. The end of that video absolutely kills me every time. But we'll get back into it from the beginning.
So you got anything on this or?
Well, absolutely. So Donald Trump just came out and he put out information and said we are going to absolutely unlock oil in Alaska. This is huge. So what does it do for the American economy? Okay. So we used to be #1 exporters of crude oil, and that went to crap whenever Joe Biden and the administration jumped in. They started putting restrictions, regulations onto crude oil, and I'm telling you right now, that's when you've seen inflation. That's when you've seen any kind of problems going on with the economy. That's when the prices started going up. Anybody that's ever been political in any sense of the form knows that when you start messing with crude oil prices, you start messing with the economy. But somehow we find this generation of liberals, idiots, that get in there and they say, hey, we need to cut off all these restrictions, put all these restrictions and regulations on crude oil and stop this oil stuff from happening. First of all, dumbasses. Second of all, super dumbasses. Okay, but what this does from what Donald Trump is it quadruples crude oil output from Alaska alone. Quadruples United States American economy's crude oil exports into the trade market. Okay, 83% increase. That is absolutely insane. If you're wondering about gas prices going down, how did Donald Trump do it in his first presidency? He unlocked ANWR. He shut down the Russian pipeline. Okay. He unlocked ANWR in Alaska. Now, I don't know if this particularly unlocks ANWR, but it does unlock a multitude, 13 million acres of wilderness sites that were once restricted.
He also he also played in the central banking system economy there too. And like I said earlier in the show, he finagled stuff around to, make stuff look pretty
Absolutely.
good.
But this move,
But yeah, you're right. You're right.
It quadruples. People think about that. Okay. When you quadruple the amount of oil that you're drilling in a single move, imagine what that does for the United States economy. We're going to start becoming, yet again, welcome back to President Trump's first administration run, #1 exporter of crude oil. #1. Get it right, people. This is exactly what we need.
Liquid gold. Liquid gold.
You better believe it. Drill, baby, drill. It's some of the best stuff that we can do.
And like with the whole thing with Alaska, that's what he's doing right now. Like he said, I don't mean to bang the Q drum again, but in the Q drops, promises made, promises kept. One of the promises that Trump made was we're going to drill, baby, drill. And what the fuck are we seeing now? Drill, baby, drill. We're getting like.
Can I share a personal experience? Maybe you've kind of experienced this yourself, Hex, as you've been around. I'm from Pikeville, Kentucky, and we do have a lot of coal plants and stuff like that. And I can promise you this: it's been shut down around here for years.
Oh yeah,
I drive by out to High Hat, and there's closed coal plants. I go down to Iowa, there's closed coal plants. But do you know what you see in the first 5 months of Donald Trump? Every time I go out to Iowa or I go out to High Hat and I see those daggone coal workers with their clipboards and their construction hats and they're ready to go start getting some oil and they're ready to start getting some coal, they are working. And it brings a warmness to my soul, to my heart, unlike anything I could ever even imagine. Because I know that this economy in this small rural town that's been dying for years since the Democrats have been in here, I know that small businesses will once boom again. Do you know why? Because the large population of the coal miners and everything, they absolutely shoot the economy up. They're going to spend money in all these small businesses. Do you know what Americans truly love? Their toys. Guess what? I work as a mechanic offside from things like this. Getting ready to do this show every Friday, I work as a mechanic. So the last 10 years of working in the mechanic business, of nobody having money, nobody being able to afford their toys, to be able to pay for heads on their new racing vehicle or upgrade to that new turbo or anything that they want to do. It's been absolutely devastating for the income market for people like me. Okay. And I can promise you, it's not just mechanics. It's in the field of electricity. It's in construction. It's in everything that has a rule and regulation. And that's happened across the board with Democrats because it just explained itself in that video.
This whole Green New Deal that they had, this whole Green New Deal, like going green and solar energy and wind turbines and stuff like that. That's all great. I'm kind of for that if we could do it, but it's just not feasible right now at this point. We still have to rely on fossil fuels, oil, coal, natural gas.
The Green New Deal that you're talking about, basically what that did is everybody tried to pretend, especially in the liberal
pretend. We don't live in a fucking world of make-believe.
It's not a world of make-believe. And they tried to pretend, dude. They tried to pretend like, oh, we're doing something heartwarming and it's good for the economy and it's so great. But the reality of it and the consequences of trying to go green so quickly, basically unplugging from coal and then quickly plugging into green energy, something that you absolutely was not prepared and ready for to be able to change an entire nation onto. Okay. You destroyed the lower class and the middle class. Those mom and pop
exactly. That's what happened when Obama started shutting down the coal mines and all that. That's what happened. Like the middle class was annihilated. Like it killed the middle class. The average, like coal mine worker and the average, natural gas worker and all that other stuff. Like it killed them.
Gone. You absolutely killed them, man. They're going to Walmart to get the majority. All these big businesses were able to capitalize, and I promise you that was under Democratic rule.
It was, and I don't know about you, but I remember watching like a lot of this stuff, like these posts on Facebook back then when Obama was president, and coming up on the election and stuff like that. I remember seeing a lot of people who worked in the coal mines were having to put their houses up for sale, were having to put their, go bankrupt, file bankruptcy and stuff like that.
Credit cards are maxed.
Yep. Credit cards maxed.
You're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. This happened under the Democratic Party.
All because of renegade Obama, his agenda that he was trying to push. And this goes back to we were supposed to. I'll try not to get too much deep into this, but there was a 16-year plan in place. It was supposed to be 8 years of Hillary and 8 years of Obama. And again, like we talked about this on a previous show, they never thought she would lose talking about Hillary. There was supposed to have been a 16-year plan put in place where it was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of Hillary. And the goal was to destroy the country, to annihilate using fossil fuels. And then they was going to bring on the COVID thing and have lockdowns and the clot shot orders, like, Beth tonight, we had touched on that a little bit. The whole thing with the clot shot was a bioweapon to depopulate. But,
I don't know what the motive was behind it, but it certainly seems like that's exactly what they were trying to do.
Go look into the Georgia Guidestones
and
see what they say. They got torn down here recently, but go look into the Georgia Guidestones and see what they have to say about population and stuff like that. Like it's really crazy. But
yeah.
Do you want to get us some badass clips?
Yeah, we'll get into that real quick. I did want to say one thing. This is some of the biggest things that I've always said when it comes to, Republican and Democrat. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm not telling you what to do or anything like that. You take your own opinion, this, that, and other. But one thing that I'd like to explain to people that I've always questioned, I don't understand how they don't get it, but when you have a Democrat that sits there and says they care about you and your farm, and they care about all of the little things you do in the lower class and the middle class, and you have conservatives who say, hey, we care about the rural areas and the lower class and the middle class, and we care about you. Here's the difference. Have you ever looked at a map, an electoral map of where the votes come from for a Democrat compared to a Republican?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a moment to look at that. If you think for 1 second that a Democrat candidate is out here voting for you in Texas or Kansas or, way out in a rural area, caring about your farm or your chicken farm or anything you're doing to try and raise eggs and to provide for your family, you are absolutely full of yourself. Because all the votes for Democrats come from large cities.
Yep.
Now, Donald Trump, he ran
Democratic controlled large cities.
What's his move? What's Donald Trump's move? He cares about you as an individual, as each American individual. And how do you reach those people? Well, you reach the people in the rural areas because they cover up 80% of the freaking population. Or the not the population, but at least they cover up 80% of the map of the United States. You know what I mean? So people really think about that,
No, you have, again, like I have talked about this a couple times, but we're going through the Great Awakening. You have to awaken people.
Yeah.
You have to get them, on board with, what's going on. Pay attention to politics. And I had this big rant on last Friday's episode about, get off Facebook, get off social media, don't get off of it, but quit looking at the bullshit on there and start looking at some politics stuff. Like spend 10, 15 minutes a day just kind of looking up some of the political stuff on that. Like I was getting that last week.
If a Democrat is ever trying to tell you, and he's coming into your red rural area, and you're thinking, hey, this might be a good guy I could vote for, just remember, they do not support rural areas of the United States of America, which cover up 75, 80% of the map. Yeah. Democrats never did. Look back all the way through history. You know who covered those areas? Do you know who always gave a shit about your farm, about your small business, your mom and pop stores? Do you know who cared about that? Republicans, because they needed your votes. Democrats never needed your votes. They just wanted them. They knew they had the big votes in the big cities. Do you think any of that shit's going on in the big cities? Hell no, it's not. That's how the electoral map works.
When we just recently went on vacation, we went down to Florida, and I'd noticed something that was kind of different the further I got out from Kentucky. We got fucking jackass Andy Bashir and these teachers. He got put in there by the teachers because the teachers believe his bullshit. Which
absolutely, it's Andy Bashitler. That's what I call him.
Andy Bashitler. I call him Governor Hitler.
Yeah, there you go. Bashitler.
Same thing, but yeah. But these teachers believe his bullshit. That's why we still have him in there. We need to get his ass out. But anyway, as we were going to Florida, the further we got away from Kentucky, the cheaper gas prices got. And then, so like we stopped at a couple places down through there on the way that was gas was like a $2.50 some cents a gallon, 59 cents a gallon.
Absolutely, you're right. That's a good point.
Versus where here it's like 280, 290.
Yeah.
And then like once we got in Florida, like like food cost, groceries were cheaper and stuff like that down there.
Yeah. Do you know how long that's been going on?
So who is the governor of Florida?
Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis. Who's the governor of Kentucky?
Andy Bashitler.
Okay, so Andy Bashitler.
Yeah,
so who is the governor of Florida? Is he Republican or Democrat?
Republican.
Okay. Andy Bashir, is he Republican or Democrat?
Absolute Democrat. Totally baffled that Kentucky would pick a blue Democrat and go 95% red.
So the point I'm getting at here is, like, I think a lot of these people who are bitching about when's it going to get better, when's prices going to get better, and blah 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 blah. I think this is coming from a lot of Democratic states, or not Democratic states necessarily, but Democratic controlled states is what I'm trying to get at. Like, the governor is a Democrat. I think that's why we're seeing a lot of the stuff we're seeing is because a lot of these states are Democrat controlled, or not a lot, but some of these states are Democratic controlled.
Well, here's the deal. I'll tell you, I'll go in, and this goes with your point on that, and I agree with you. Ever since I was a kid, okay, I'm talking from 4 years old on to 40 now, okay, I've always traveled to Florida and back and forth to Kentucky because I had family. I had a dad in Florida. I had a mom in Kentucky. So I always went back and forth. And I noticed the same things you noticed, but yet as a child. I noticed that the gas got cheaper and the cigarettes got cheaper and the prices went down the further south I got. And I also lived in a little bit of the thug lifestyle. We knew that we could go down south and get a truck full of cigarettes and come up north and sell them, even though it's illegal, and we can make a buck to provide for our family. But here's what I'm going to tell you. How long do you think that's been going on?
Quite a while.
It's been going on longer than me and you have been alive. It's simple. When you go down south, it gets cheaper. When you go up north, it gets more expensive. But do you know why? Down south has majority been Republican-controlled areas, and up north is all your blue bird states. And it always gets more expensive. So when you're out there and you're voting, just think about that.
Yeah.
If you're voting blue, you're voting for one of them that when you move up north, everything gets more expensive. But if you're voting red, you're one of them that likes to move down south and shit starts getting cheaper. And that's the way it's been since before me and you was born.
This whole corrupt political system has been in place for a long time. Like, I don't have the videos links right now, but there's a whole lot of videos you can watch that talk about how long this corrupt system has been in place. And this goes back to the Romans, the Egyptians. But anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. Let's get into some badass clips. How about that?
Badass clips. Here we go.
Yep. So you had sent me this one of Benny Johnson, or wait, it wasn't Benny Johnson. Let me see here. Do I have that pulled up? Yeah, I got it. This is Charlie Kirk that you had sent me.
Yeah.
So let's give this.
This is great. This is great.
Oh, it's awesome. I love this one.
Skinny Lizzo. Lizzo on Ozempic. It's the best New York has to offer. Statue to some slob.
No, Charlie. That's Tisha James.
That is great. I love that video.
Tisha. Yeah. Tisha James.
Letitia James has now since been dubbed Tisha James. That's going to spread like wildfire with the fraud that Letitia James is involved in with the EBT. So
make that shit trend on True Social, Facebook, X, Instagram, Tisha James, make that shit trend. Like we need that shit to trend. Oh, wait, before we get into the next little clip here, the badass clips, we have if you pop over there to the comments there on the StreamYard there and look at it, I'll let you read through those and let you I'll let you deal with this, Parabellum.
I have been trying to. This is a very fun-filled Bev posting random shit. Look.
So read to us what
Crayola crayon colors, 96 count. Sharpener included.
What the hell?
Tiffany blue.
Oh,
rock and roll all night and party every day. So what I can tell you is that when my lady starts getting bored and she wants some music, I can promise you that there's going to be some crazy comments come out. Here's a perfect example. Music.
So
she's a troll, but we love her.
She said Tiffany blue question mark. So I'm assuming she wants an explanation of the whole Tiffany blue thing.
Yeah.
I just say it was both of their colors Tiffany blue.
Well, she said that now you hit a tough territory with Miss Bevy. She is artistic, and she has taught our children the primary colors and all the colors.
I always knew Bev was autistic.
They were born. She says that there's two different colors there, and that palette doesn't match. They are not both Tiffany blue. That the other is a different color. You hit some strong territory.
You know, you got video, but anyway, the whole Tiffany blue thing, Bev, was like I was talking about Jackie. She had wore a Tiffany blue dress at inauguration for Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that who I'm thinking of? Jackie?
Yeah.
Jackie. She wore a Tiffany blue dress. So when Trump was inaugurated, Melania wore a Tiffany blue dress, and they gave Obama and Michelle gift boxes. I think we had this on the show, didn't we? And they were Tiffany blue gift boxes. So this whole entire Q movement started with the assassination of Kennedy. So that's kind of what I was hitting at with that Tiffany blue. And again, like I said, you're watching a show, a scripted movie. But anyway, I just wanted to give a little bit on that. What we got next here? Oh, we got another badass clip here. This is 5145 libtards.
Oh, yeah.
So let's give this a play. This is pretty cool.
Conservative political views, 51 to 45%.
Oh, let me pause this real quick. I didn't get a chance to edit my video. It didn't finish out the whole entire thing at the bottom on the right or left side of the screen. It left off a word, but anyway, let's play it.
When it comes to excellent versus poor.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Democrats would have expected that.
I don't know, man. I didn't need a poll to know they were unwell. Just drive around and see someone wearing a mask in their car, and you know who.
5% when it comes to excellent versus.
So this new study proves that.
And I don't think the Democrats would have expected that.
Oh, this new study proves that libtards are real, is what I was putting there. So 51
have mental health issues.
Yep. Mental health issues. 51 excellent for the conservative, and for the liberals, 45%. 45. Think of that number right there. Who was the 45th?
For mental health in the Liberal Party. That is insanely true.
Who's the 45th president of the United States?
There we go. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump was the 45th. So, that was pretty cool. But with that, let's look at this little graph here that Parabellum had sent me last night.
Happy Title IX, ladies and gentlemen. This might be nasty, but just deal with it. It's Title IX month. Percent of people who've experienced. Check this out. So, what's going on? Pride Month, and we have nothing against anybody who may be lesbian, gay, bisexual, queer. Hey, look, at the end of the day,
Just don't shove it in our face.
Yeah, most conservative views, we don't give a crap what you do. Just don't put it in the lives of our children, or put it in churches or places that we try to go to. Okay. Hey, do you, boo-boo, but keep it out of our bullshit. Happy Title IX month. Domestic violence rates by gender and sexuality. Can you believe this? 61% of bisexual women have experienced intimate partner violence, rape, or stalking in their lives. 44% lesbian women, 37% bisexual, 35% straight women, 29% on straight men, and 26% gay men. So do you understand what that means? In the LGBTQ plus whatever else you want to add in there, most of the partner violence, rape, and stalking happens within your letters. Happy Title IX. The truth hurts, ladies and gentlemen, but deal with it. Grow up.
Look at that. What the fuck is that?
That's one of those 45% mentally ill people.
I would call it a blue-haired, two-eyed, purple people eater. I don't know. But
Right
anyway,
on.
yeah. Nearly half of liberals reporting, the same thing that we were just going over here. Nearly half of liberals report having poor mental health, according to Silver Bullet survey.
Well,
So,
why? I mean, I don't get it. That picture, they look totally stable.
yeah, like that. Look, I mean, like really, that's just a normal person that has blue hair and looks like they're going to eat you for
Here's the end of
breakfast.
the day. You're going to get a whole lot of feminists and a bunch of crazy people out there that are liberal ideologists, and they're going to say, well, you just hate anybody who has blue hair, and you're a freaking racist and sexist.
No. I hate pink hair and purple hair people that's, the same views, just the same. I don't care what
Here's
color
the
hair
deal.
they got.
Stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. If you ever watch a stand-up comedy act, the reason they're stereotypes is because most likely they are true. Asians like rice, black people like fried chicken. Liberal retards like blue hair. Okay, it just is what it is, people. Let it go. Live with what it is. These people have poor mental health if you have blue hair. Okay.
I'm
Hey, I
speechless.
put it down nasty. Look,
Yeah, you
people
did. I'm speechless.
People need to be told the truth, X. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not absolutely racist. Some of these people
You don't
are absolutely
sugarcoat
my
shit, do
friends.
you?
No, I don't hold back, buddy. I don't hold back. Some of these people are actually some of my best friends, and we have different opinions, and we go back and forth. And some days they hate me, and I love them, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I don't
Same
have
here.
to keep my beliefs just because
It
you
doesn't
believe
matter if you're.
Look it.
Yep. To me, like this whole libtard thing, like I can't get on board with some of the stuff they talk about, and like I don't get the blue hair and all that shit. Like I don't understand it. But
do you think
regardless,
that's
at the end of the day, they need to wake up, and along with the rest of the world needs to wake up. And at the end of the day, regardless of whether you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, whatever, transgender,
most straight conservative
whatever
people,
skin color you have, black, white, whatever skin color you have, black, white, brown, it doesn't matter. We're all humans, and we all need to fix this shit and get this world back on track. So anyway, I didn't mean to get into that big spiel. Kind of just but
sorry.
So this next clip, what the hell? Mustard on
the beat, bro.
Mustard on the beat. What? What? Watch your nipples.
Bevy is really wanting to have fun,
guys. If you're watching, get in this live chat. When we do these shows, you got to get in the chat with Bev, because Bev needs a companion in chat to like shoot this random bullshit off of. Jump in chat and talk with Bev. Like, trust me, I'll work with her. She's hilarious.
Legos, Dumbo size.
Like
she put Dumbo, but she meant Gumbo.
Gumbo. Anyway,
bam. Sorry, man. She is going ape wild. She's ready for me to hang out.
All right, so we're about done with this. We got one more video, and then we'll jump out of here. This video right here, it's going to crack you up. Like, I seen this today while I was at work and watched it, and like I showed it to my boss, and he was like laughing at it too. So, I just titled this video "Wow, LOL." So let's check this out.
Okay.
Maybe. What the hell? Oh,
I can hear them perks coming.
I didn't think it was a Jesus statue either, so
Lord
don't feel
have
bad.
mercy.
We all need to go to the river.
I think that's exactly where that thing was going.
Let's watch that one more time.
Yeah.
I can hear them perks coming. I can hear the
I didn't think it was a Jesus statue either, so don't feel bad. We all need to go to the river.
When I seen that too, I thought the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. That's a total new toy.
Is that a sex toy? Nope, it's a Jesus statue. All right,
Wow.
so you got anything else before we close this out?
Yeah.
I am going crazy.
Oh, okay. I don't see it. No, I can't see that. I think Dave can see all the hearts and everything going on. Yep, but on YouTube, but I can't. Sorry, she's trying to put a whole bunch.
No,
of
I don't see any
videos.
hearts going on YouTube.
Okay.
I just all I see is her. Actually, I'm not on YouTube. I'm just watching the chat from YouTube on StreamYard.
Okay. Oh, she's hitting the
But
button.
anyway, oh wait, yeah, I see them now. Okay, yeah,
There
I
you
just
go.
pulled up
There you go.
YouTube.
Yep.
Yep,
You see
I
it
see all the hearts. Awesome.
All right. Is that it
So
for
that's pretty much it. Unless you got anything else.
That's it for me, big guy.
Okay, so I want to apologize again that tonight's show was a little bit offbeat and out of kilter. Again, Parabellum and I both stayed up late last night putting this together. We were, like I've been working on my deck at the same time too. So
I told you about that. Don't tell people.
yeah, but we tried to get through this. I want to thank our guest Beth, who come on the show tonight, or Beth. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Again, we had at the top of the show. I was getting Bev and Beth confused. But anyway, I want to thank Beth for coming on the show tonight. It was great having you. I hope she comes back. I would like to get my daughter-in-law Kate on the show, but anyway, we're going to head out of here, guys. Just want to tell everybody peace out, God bless, and where we go on, we go all. You got any closing words?
Adios, amigos. Si, senor habla. President Donald Trump.
We were your host, still are your host, Parabellum and Ep.7. So peace out, guys. God bless. Check us out. Don't forget to go down there and smash that thumbs up button if you like the show on Facebook and on YouTube. We went live on both of those, so smash that thumbs up and let us know. Follow us. We're every Friday night, 8 o'clock. Sometimes we do a Saturday night show. So God bless. Peace out. Where we go on, we go all. Catch you guys later.
See you guys. Have a good one.
To what we got doesn't make a difference if we make it or not. We got each other. That's a
Thousands of dock workers are on strike here in New Jersey and at ports along the east and Gulf Coast. Members of the International Longshoremen Association hit the picket lines 12:01 a.m. today after the union and port ownership failed to reach an agreement on a new contract. A battle that centered around workers' requests for higher wages and limits on the use of automation. The work stoppage affects 36 ports from New England to Texas, first since 1977.
It's called No Tax on Tips. Something that said, take a look what happened.
Because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.